Our story begins in a world left in ashes after a brutal 100-year continental war. In the final days of this bloody conflict, a legendary figure emerges from the shadows, Riot Berger. Riot isn't just an ordinary soldier, he is a master of magic tools, a one-man army credited with slaughtering 10,000 foes single-handedly. His power is so immense that he even hunts Calamity-class monsters that possess world-ending power. With a blinding flash, Riot cleaves through his massive prey, remaining entirely focused on the task at hand despite the sheer scale of destruction around him. Activating a magic circle, he summons heavy chains to bind his next target. But Riot Berger doesn't stop at monsters. He ruthlessly cuts down the humans who commanded them just as easily, unleashing glowing chains of light that tear through enemy ranks without a moment of hesitation. Blood rains down as Riot executes the orders of his nation with chilling precision. Standing amidst the flames and corpses, he is the last man standing on a field of death. But the moment the war finally ends, the legendary hero vanishes, leaving his ultimate fate a total mystery to the world. Fast forward years later, and we meet an older man with sharp eyes and glasses enjoying a quiet moment of peace. This is Riot, living a hidden life as a peaceful shopkeeper far away from the blood-soaked battlefields of his past. However, his calm is broken when his young grandson approaches him with a sudden request. The young boy looks up at the former legend and asks to be taught the art of swordsmanship. Ray leans over the counter, eagerly asking for a good way to train. Riot looks up from his work and casually suggests sword practice, but immediately scoffs, calling swordsmanship a barbarian's hobby before ordering Ray to help clean the yard instead. Ray looks skeptical, reminding Riot that he used to be a swordsman too. Riot stares back calmly, claiming those days are long gone and insisting he's so frail now he couldn't even lift a sword. Ray bursts into laughter, teasing his grandfather about having even less muscle than him. Riot watches the boy laugh, calling him a brat under his breath. Ray stretches his arms, sighing about his missed opportunity, and admits he wanted the training to prepare for the academy exam. Riot pauses, his interest instantly piqued at the mention of the academy. Ray flashes a confident smile, admitting there's a secret goal he's determined to achieve. He tells Riot to look forward to it, leaving the old man in thoughtful silence. Riot watches him go, realizing just how much Ray has grown. With a gentle smile, Riot promises himself he'll stay alive long enough to see Ray reach that goal. But looking at the boy sends Riot's mind wandering back to the dark days when Ray was first born. In those times he wasn't a peaceful shopkeeper but a warrior drowning in the heat of constant, bloody battle. In his memories, Riot plunges into a sea of blood, carving through waves of enemy soldiers as a whirlwind of violence, swinging his heavy blade with ruthless precision. The cycle of slaughter is endless, and with every strike, Riot loses a piece of his humanity. His face is masked in gore, his eyes cold and devoid of any emotion. He tells himself he's fighting for his country to justify the mountain of bodies, but the constant warfare transforms him into a living weapon that knows only death. Standing amidst a graveyard of his own making, Riot realizes he has no blood or tears left to shed. He watches the last remnant of his happiness, a family photo, turn to ash. Covered in the blood of his enemies, he returns home only to find his entire world on fire. The village he fought to protect is now nothing but a massive funeral pyre. He stands paralyzed over the lifeless body of his loved one, the weight of his loss finally sinking in. Grief instantly curdles into a murderous, soul-consuming rage. Riot lets out a primal scream, vowing to hunt down those responsible and erase their entire lineage from existence. His roar of vengeance fades into a broken sob as he collapses, consumed by a new singular purpose: revenge. But amidst the carnage and the stench of death, a faint cry pierces through Riot's despair. He reaches into the ruins and finds a tiny infant, miraculously untouched by the flames. As he pulls the child close, the name Ray escapes his lips. Kneeling beside the remains of his old life, Riot cradles the crying baby against the backdrop of his burning village. The infant reaches out, touching Riot's blood-stained face with a pure, innocent smile. Seeing this spark of life in the middle of a graveyard, Riot's murderous rage breaks into tears of salvation. In that moment, Ray becomes the light that guides him out of the absolute darkness. With a new reason to live, Riot looks toward the horizon, no longer just a man consumed by vengeance. Back in the present, Riot adjusts his collar, his eyes filled with a heavy resolve to protect the life his daughter left behind. He walks through the silent house, heading toward a door that shouldn't exist. Riot reaches for the heavy chains, the sound of cold metal echoing through the hall. He slowly unlocks the room, ready to cross any line for the sake of his family. Descending into the darkness, Riot's shadow stretches down the cold stone steps. He is willing to break every taboo to keep his promise. Deep in the cellar, a figure sits draped in a tattered shroud, hidden away from the world. Riot reaches out and pulls back the cloth, revealing the young man inside. Ray stares back with a hollow gaze, the secret Riot has guarded for years finally coming to light. Riot clutches his chest, feeling the weight of his failing health as he realizes his time is nearly up. He looks down at Ray, determined to use his remaining strength to finish what he started in this secret cellar. Suddenly, a voice from the top of the stairs breaks the silence, catching Riot completely off guard. A masked stranger descends into the gloom, his presence radiating an unsettling confidence. Riot tries to maintain his composure, asking the intruder what kind of magic tool he is looking for. The visitor's eyes glint with a dangerous intent as he demands a mythic item. Riot's face pales in shock, realizing his most guarded secrets are no longer safe. The masked intruder stares down at Riot Berger, revealing he knows the old man's secret past. He mocks Riot, calling him the legendary assassin doll and the creator of ultimate magic tools. With a sinister grin, the stranger declares that he's taking every single treasure for himself and lunges from the shadows, his blade aimed directly at Riot. A blinding flash of blue energy erupts as their weapons collide, shaking the room. The intruder is surprised, realizing that despite his age, Riot is still a deadly fighter. Riot stands his ground, blocking the lethal strike as magic surges between them. Riot unleashes his mana, manifesting the legendary Holy Shield Aegis to block the intruder's path. The crystalline barrier pulses with energy, designed to nullify any strike that falls below its massive power threshold. Riot stares down his opponent, demanding to know how a mere thief learned about his secret mythic items. The masked man remains unfazed, mocking Riot and claiming he's just a hired hand doing a job. Seeing no room for negotiation, Riot's expression hardens as he prepares to go all out. He activates magic tool creation, summoning a massive pillar of blue light to forge a weapon that will finish the fight. Riot unleashes a blinding surge of mana that illuminates the night sky and steps forward into the light, calling upon a weapon of legend. The Holy Sword Excalibur manifests, a divine blade that amplifies its user's physical and magical limits to the absolute peak. Riot grips the hilt, the ground trembling as he readies a devastating blow. With a ferocious swing, he vows to beat the location of the intruder's master out of him. The masked man braces himself against the crushing pressure, acknowledging the rumors of Riot's power, yet a hint of defiance remains. The masked intruder mocks Riot, claiming his aging body is reaching its limit as their blades clash. Riot grunts in pain, the physical toll of the battle becoming harder to ignore. The fight is suddenly interrupted when Ray wanders into the area, calling out for his grandfather. Riot's expression shifts to pure horror as he realizes the boy has walked right into a death trap. He desperately warns Ray to stay back, but the masked man only smirks at the new opportunity. In the blink of an eye, the villain vanishes and reappears directly behind the defenseless boy. He holds up a sinister artifact known as the mythic item, Echo of Memories. As the bell begins to glow with a malevolent light, Riot screams in desperation, realizing he's too late to save his grandson. The masked man taunts Riot, admiring Ray's potential as he prepares to use the boy as a weapon. Ray draws his blade with a cold, vacant expression and declares that the upcoming fight will be far too much for an old man like Riot to handle. Before Riot can react, Ray vanishes in a blur of speed, launching a lethal surprise attack. Riot barely manages to block the strike, his heart sinking as he stares into his grandson's hollow eyes. He realizes the sinister bell has completely rewritten Ray's memories, turning him into a brainwashed puppet. Riot struggles to hold his ground, knowing there are only two ways to break the spell: defeat the masked caster or take down Ray himself. Ray lunges forward, his blade crackling with energy as he aims a devastating blow at Riot's head. Riot realizes he can no longer hesitate and prepares a desperate countermeasure. With a heavy heart, Riot delivers a massive strike, begging for his grandson's forgiveness. A blinding pillar of light erupts from the impact, shaking the entire area. As the dust settles, Ray lies unconscious against the wall while the masked man mocks Riot's apparent ruthlessness. But Riot suddenly vanishes and reappears directly behind the villain, catching him completely off guard. He coldly clarifies that he knows exactly how to control his strength, leaving the masked man trembling. The masked man panics as a blinding pillar of light suddenly erupts before him. Riot stands firm amidst the golden energy, watching as a new figure manifests within the brilliance. Clad in dark armor and wielding a massive sword, the client steps out from the light. He looks on with cold indifference, dismissing the masked man as an incompetent low-level thug. The masked man trembles in terror, realizing his own employer has personally arrived on the scene. Riot remains frozen, his gaze locked on the newcomer, a cold sweat breaking across his face as he feels the weight of a truly monstrous presence. The client swings his massive blade down with lethal intent, aiming to end the fight in a single stroke. Suddenly, Riot's heart flares with agony, his body betrays him at the worst possible moment. Red lightning surges through his veins as he gasps for air, the weight of his old age finally catching up to him. A blinding flash of gold erupts as Riot barely manages to parry the strike, the impact shattering the ground beneath them. He grits his teeth against the crushing pressure, refusing to let his guard break. Riot acknowledges that while his body has withered, his mind and skill remain as sharp as ever. Channeling a surge of blue mana into his sword, Riot's eyes glow with a fierce, renewed determination to survive. But then a spray of blood paints the ground as a lethal strike finds its mark. Riot's eyes widen in disbelief, his body freezing as cold steel pierces through his chest. Ray stands behind his grandfather, his eyes glowing with a terrifying red light as he drives the blade home. Riot coughs up blood, turning back to see the boy he loves acting as his executioner. Suddenly, the sinister red glow vanishes from Ray's eyes, leaving him dazed and confused. Ray looks at the scene in horror, the weight of his actions hitting him as he calls out to his dying grandfather in a panic. Ray's eyes finally clear, but the sight before him is a living nightmare as he stares in shock at his own blood-stained hands, still gripping the sword that's pierced through Riot. Suddenly, a massive blast of energy erupts, tearing the ground apart and sending shockwaves through the air. Ray is thrown back as the battlefield is swallowed by a wall of smoke and debris. He struggles to his feet, gasping for air as he scans the wreckage, panic taking over as he desperately searches for any sign of his grandfather. But a cold, suffocating presence stops him in his tracks. A dark silhouette with piercing white eyes looms behind him, demanding he get out of the way. Riot lies broken on the ground, coughing up blood as his body fails him from the overwhelming damage. Ray rushes in, brandishing his sword to shield his grandfather from the looming threat, warning the intruder that he won't hesitate to strike if they take another step toward Riot. The mysterious figure stares back with a chilling, indifferent expression, completely unfazed by the boy's threat. Riot desperately pleads for Ray to flee, knowing his grandson stands no chance against such a monster. Ignoring the warning, Ray locks eyes with the enemy, his resolve hardening despite the terror. As the antagonist takes a heavy step forward, Ray lets out a defiant scream and lunges into a desperate final strike. Ray's desperate lunge is met with a swift and merciless counterattack. A sharp blade slices through the air, sending a spray of blood across the battlefield. Riot watches in terror, his vision fading as the silhouette of death looms over him. A cold, twisted smile is the last thing Riot sees before the world turns red. He gasps out Ray's name with his final, trembling breath before a brutal finishing blow leaves his lifeless body lying in the dirt. The cloaked figure stands over the carnage, indifferent to the life he just extinguished. A companion approaches from the shadows, coldly reminding him that no witnesses were meant to survive. Riot lies broken on the cold ground, reaching out with a trembling hand as he gasps for Ray. A heavy boot suddenly slams down, crushing his arm into the dirt and silencing his desperate plea. The dark-haired warrior looms over him, mocking Riot's fallen state and the legendary strength he once possessed. With a cold, final declaration, the killer swings his blade to deliver the finishing blow. A massive spray of blood paints the scene as Riot's life is extinguished once and for all. Deep within the darkness, a faint blue wisp flickers to life, signaling a mysterious new beginning. Riot collapses in the void, his soul consumed by the crushing weight of his failure. Visions of Ray flash through his mind, the boy who pulled him from despair and grew up by his side. His grief instantly transforms into a murderous rage as he vows to avenge the boy he loved like a son. A chilling system message appears, announcing that the final condition for his awakening, death, has been met. The shackles on Riot's magic tool creation skill shatter, unleashing a power that defies the laws of life. In the dim light of the morgue, a sinister red flame ignites over Riot's covered body, signaling a terrifying rebirth. The system announces the final stage of the awakening. Riot's soul is being transferred into a magic tool. A violent red flame erupts from his corpse, shattering the silence of the morgue. From the swirling vortex of power, Riot emerges, reborn in a new, flawless body. His gaze is cold and sharp, filled with an intensity that matches his newfound power. He has transcended humanity to become a mythic item, the reincarnation doll. Mythic items are the ultimate magical tools capable of casting legendary spells with a simple infusion of mana. These forbidden creations belong to one man, the genius craftsman Riot Berger. His masterpieces possess the terrifying ability to manipulate time, space, and even the human soul, a world-shaking power that every ruler on the continent is desperate to claim for themselves. Riot's genius birthed a pipe that allows its user to peer into the threads of the future, mechanical wings that grant the power to leap across the vast reaches of space in an instant, a legendary key that can force open any heart to drag out hidden secrets, and a tuning artifact that can manipulate the very emotions of those around him with a single note. But these incredible treasures are now lost to history. When Riot vanished without a trace, his masterpieces disappeared along with him. Back amidst the roaring flames of the ruined estate, the masked man grumbles about the flashy entrance that has left them with a nightmare cleanup. He loots a fallen body, pocketing a glowing gem as a small reward for his troubles. Suddenly, a cold, imposing figure looms behind him, casting a shadow that halts the thief in his tracks. The smoke parts to reveal Riot Berger, now fully manifested within his ultimate creation, the reincarnation doll. Standing tall in his new, youthful body, Riot's gaze is sharp and filled with a lethal sense of purpose. He reflects on the secret reason he forged this mythic item, to ensure he could always stay by Ray's side and watch him grow. Riot's eyes burn with a murderous intensity as he stares down the men who took everything from him. He activates his magic item creation skill, channeling his grief into a weapon of pure vengeance. From the swirling mana, the guillotine cutter manifests, a blood-stained execution blade forged for one purpose. Riot's heart aches at the memory of Ray, the innocent child these monsters dared to harm. He lunges forward, declaring that every action has consequences they are about to pay for in blood. The masked man freezes in terror, realizing the legendary assassin doll has returned with a vengeance. With a final, decisive swing, Riot prepares to deliver a blow that will end this nightmare once and for all, his eyes burning with a cold, murderous fury as he vows to make his enemies face the weight of their sins. Later, Riot walks through the silent, misty ruins of his destroyed village. He drives a shovel into the cold earth, preparing a final resting place. His gaze is heavy with sorrow as he whispers Ray's name. Memories of a happier time flood back, showing Ray running through a sun-drenched field, his laughter echoing as he playfully urges Riot to keep up. Even during a simple meal, Ray's bright spirit was the light of Riot's life. Ray visits Riot late at night, unable to find rest. Years later, Ray smiles brightly, promising to reveal his secret goal once he achieves it. Riot realizes with a heavy heart that he will never hear what Ray's dream was. He stands alone in a silent graveyard, surrounded by the cost of his failure. Riot focuses his hatred on the man who killed Ray, a monster known as the Client. His grief hardens into a cold, lethal determination as he vows to hunt the Client down and make him pay in blood. On top of his vengeance, Riot prepares to reclaim the legendary items that were stolen from him. Riot examines the scene of the theft, picking up a scrap of cloth, the only clue left behind. He discovers a peculiar pendant and instantly recognizes it as a relic belonging to the Ujin tribe. Without a moment's delay, Riot activates his magic tool creation skill. A surge of mana forges the Stardust Compass, a legendary tool capable of locating an object's owner. Riot realizes that by following this trail, he will eventually track down the man known as the Client. He places the Ujin pendant into the glowing device to begin the search. The compass reacts instantly, projecting a clear image of a hidden base tucked away in the mountains. With his target locked, Riot decides to hit their headquarters first, his eyes burning with a cold, lethal resolve as the hunt for vengeance begins. Riot arrives at his destination, confirming he's found the right place. He focuses on the Ujin tribe pendant, a symbol of a clan with a terrifying specialty. Their soul-reading skill allows them to pull memories directly from the mana lingering in a corpse. This ability made them the ultimate intelligence unit during the Great War, as they never needed to rely on torture for information. Riot steps into the Valley of Bones, a hidden village lost to time. He reflects on his years in hiding, confident that he's left almost no trail for his old comrades to follow. But the realization that the masked assassin belongs to the Ujin clan changes everything. If they can harvest memories from the dead, then Riot's secret identity is no longer safe. Riot realizes the stakes are higher than ever. If the Ujin tribe finds anyone he's ever met, they'll hunt them down one by one. Their ability to rip memories from corpses means no secret is safe once they get their hands on a body. It's a trail of blood that will eventually lead them directly back to him. As Riot navigates the dark ruins, a cold blade is suddenly pressed against his throat. A masked guard demands to know how an outsider discovered their hidden sanctuary. From the mist, more cloaked clan members emerge, surrounding Riot with lethal intent. The guard offers a final ultimatum: reveal his identity or die on the spot. Riot looks back with cold eyes, completely unimpressed by the threat. He scoffs at the idea of an intruder being polite, refusing to give them the answers they want. Losing his patience, the guard swings his blade to end the conversation permanently and lunges forward, but his blade shatters the moment it touches Riot. Shocked by the sudden destruction of his weapon, the guard can only stare in disbelief. Riot doesn't hesitate, unleashing a powerful force that sends the attacker flying through the air. The remaining clan members watch in horror as their comrade is easily brushed aside. Desperate to regain control, the mages rally together and prepare a massive magical assault, unleashing a devastating torrent of purple energy intending to vaporize Riot on the spot. The explosion rocks the ruins, leaving behind a thick cloud of smoke and debris. As the haze clears, Riot emerges completely unscathed, his cold gaze piercing through the darkness. Riot strides through the mist, his expression cold and unwavering as he approaches his enemies. The masked men tremble in his presence, unable to comprehend the overwhelming power radiating from the man they thought was dead. Riot looks down with a grim realization, understanding the bloodbath these killers caused just to find him. He stares into the eyes of the lead intruder, his gaze burning with a dark intensity as he demands to know the scale of their slaughter. The man stammers in pure terror, but Riot has already lost interest in any words he has to say. A brilliant blue light gathers in Riot's palm as he prepares to unleash his true strength once again. He activates magic tool creation, summoning a surge of mana that illuminates the entire ruin. The masked man collapses in fear before a massive skull-like gateway as Riot prepares to settle the score. Riot summons a terrifying magic tool, the Iron Maiden. His gaze is cold and merciless as he prepares to unleash hell on the intruders. The masked men are paralyzed with fear as the massive steel contraptions manifest around them. The heavy doors slam shut with a sickening thud, crushing everyone inside. Blood splatters the ground as the screams of the dying echo through the ruins. Riot walks away from the slaughter without a single backward glance. the battlefield littered with the bloody remains of his enemies encased in steel behind him. One lone survivor gasps for air, trembling as he stares in horror at the macabre steel tombs of his fallen comrades. Riot looms behind him, confirming that he is the only one left alive. Terrified, the man scrambles backward, demanding to know Riot's true objective. Riot remains cold, stating that the man's only purpose now is to provide answers. A sharp, glowing magic tool manifests in Riot's hand as he prepares for a brutal interrogation, admitting his methods are old-fashioned but guaranteed to get results. Riot's eyes burn with a lethal red glow as he holds the blade to the man's throat, demanding the location of the client behind the entire massacre. Later, the survivor sits slumped in a chair, his body broken and bloodied from the interrogation. Riot stares at the corpse, frustrated that the man died without revealing anything useful. Riot stands in the dim light of the enemy base, frustrated by the lack of evidence. He has scoured every inch of the facility only to find a single bundle of client lists. He scans the documents, noting names of high-ranking officials and elite officers from various nations, but his eyes narrow as he notices a gap in the records. Several pages have been torn out. Riot sighs, realizing his opponent is incredibly cautious and left nothing behind. He reflects on the enemy's immense strength and meticulous nature, suspecting a high-ranking figure or an S-rank adventurer. His mind wanders back to the intruder's chilling words during their fight. The man had claimed Riot used to be stronger than anyone. Riot stares into the darkness, realizing his foe is someone who knew him back during the war. Sifting through the scattered documents, Riot cautions himself not to rush to a conclusion without more proof. He leans over the desk, eyes scanning every page in search of a missing link. Suddenly his hand freezes as he spots a familiar face in a newspaper clipping. With a look of cold determination, Riot realizes exactly where he needs to go next. He focuses on the image of a sharp-dressed man wearing glasses and a tie. This sophisticated figure is the key to Riot's investigation, and he is the next person Riot must track down. Riot travels to a grand estate, where a massive Gothic mansion looms over a silent graveyard. He strides past the rows of tombstones, his youthful body hiding the centuries of experience driving him forward. Standing before the imposing front door, Riot prepares to confront his old acquaintance and uncover the truth behind Ray's death. Riot's boots echo through the grand estate as he searches for his old acquaintance. He enters a private study, his sharp gaze landing on a framed photo of his family. Before he can dwell on the memory, a man with glasses lunges from the shadows with a lethal strike. The attacker is stunned to find a mere boy standing in the room, but Riot reacts with lightning speed, his eyes glowing with a cold, blue light. A massive explosion of mana rocks the room as Riot effortlessly parries the surprise attack, the sheer pressure sending the man with glasses skidding across the floor. The attacker recovers, his face pale with shock as he realizes he's not dealing with an ordinary intruder. He stares at Riot's youthful face, demanding to know the identity of the person who just blocked his killing blow, his hand reaching out as he recognizes a familiar face in this youthful stranger. Riot stands his ground, mocking the cold reception after so many years apart. He casually suggests a hug, his calm demeanor hiding the lethal power beneath the surface. The attacker's shock instantly turns to rage as he prepares to strike, activating his iron arm skill to channel a massive surge of mana into his fist. With a sudden burst of speed, the man lunges forward to deliver a crushing blow. The punch connects with a deafening crack, sending a shockwave through the entire study. Riot is sent flying backward, crashing through the window and into the courtyard below. Emerging from the smoke and debris, Riot looks up with a smirk, completely unfazed by the attack. He effortlessly catches the Academy professor's heavy punch, looking him straight in the eye. Enraged, the Academy professor yells at him to shut up and swings another powerful fist. Riot watches the attack, wondering if his old acquaintance truly fails to recognize his new face. In a blur of motion, Riot evades the strike and teleports behind the professor, leaving a trail of afterimages. The Academy professor freezes in shock, instantly recognizing the legendary footwork. Riot steps firmly onto the ground, his movements echoing a style from their shared past. He lunges forward with blinding speed, closing the distance in an instant, and declares his identity once more, determined to prove he is the man from the professor's memories. Riot catches the next heavy punch, encounters with a massive shockwave that sends Lit Brown crashing into the stone wall. The impact leaves Lit gasping for air, slumped amidst the debris. Riot stands over his fallen friend, realizing he didn't hold back his new strength enough. Outside the grand estate, Lit Brown slowly regains his composure and adjusts his glasses. He stares at the young man before him, finally accepting that his old war buddy Riot Berger has truly returned in a new form. Riot casually sips his tea, acting hurt that Lit didn't immediately recognize his new, younger appearance. Lit snaps back in frustration, pointing out that people don't usually age in reverse, and continues his outburst, stunned that Riot's current strength surpasses even his legendary prime. Riot remains composed, expecting a former elite ranger like Lit to have seen through his methods. Lit waves the comment away, a look of melancholy crossing his face as he thinks back to a lifetime ago. He admits he's no longer the soldier he once was, having lived off the grid since the war ended, his gaze turning somber as he reflects on how much the world changed. Lit looks back at how the world transformed once the long century of war finally ended, watching as people put down their weapons to slowly reclaim their lost lives. The once bloody streets are now filled with families building a better future. Lit admits he found peace too, settling down to start a family and trade his soldier's life for that of a powerful merchant who now controls the entire trade network of the capital. Back in the present, Lit leans back, acknowledging the massive leap from ranger to merchant kingpin. Riot nods, silently recognizing his old comrade's success. The atmosphere grows tense as Lit leans forward, eyes narrowing with deep suspicion, demanding to know why Riot looks exactly the same as he did 100 years ago. Lit presses for the truth, sensing that Riot's sudden return means something dangerous is about to happen. Riot remains silent, his gaze cold and unreadable, offering no answers with a mask of quiet, lethal resolve. Then Riot reveals the surprising truth that he, too, had become a grandfather before his life was upended. He asks Lit to listen to the long and painful story of his tragedy. They move to a quiet corner of the office where Riot recounts the loss of his grandson and his own rebirth. Lit absorbs the heavy details, his expression darkening with sympathy. He takes a slow sip of tea, acknowledging the hell Riot has been through and realizes that Riot used the stolen Eugen tribe client list to track him down. Riot looks over the documents, his mind moving to the next step of revenge. Lit sets his cup down with a quiet clink as the gravity of the situation settles over the room. Riot reflects on the dangerous lists kept by the underworld, noting the chaos they would cause if leaked. Lit rubs his head in frustration, admitting the merchant world is filled with its own dark complications. Lit looks directly at Riot, asking what his next move will be now that he has the information. Riot's gaze turns cold as he states that his path has already been decided. His hand trembles with suppressed rage, clenching into a tight fist as dark energy begins to swirl around him. Riot's eyes ignite with a terrifying red glow as he declares his singular goal, retribution. Lit watches him with concern, questioning if this path of violence is truly what Ray would have wanted for him. Riot offers a thin, enigmatic smile, refusing to give a straight answer as he prepares for the coming storm. Staring into his tea, his reflection a reminder of his heavy burden, Riot tells Lit that this mission isn't just about revenge for Ray, it's about taking responsibility for the powerful tools he created. Riot knows the stolen mythic items are far too dangerous to remain in the hands of his enemies. If abused, the very fabric of the world could be reshaped with terrifying ease. Clenching his fist, Riot's expression hardens with cold, unwavering resolve, refusing to let such a catastrophe happen no matter the cost. Lit acknowledges Riot's plan to hunt down the mysterious client. Riot confirms the mission and admits he'll need Lit's help to succeed. Lit isn't surprised and asks what materials Riot needs. Riot hands over a folded list, tasking his ally with gathering the necessary components, and with a sharp, determined look vows to forge a new magic tool specifically designed to kill his enemy. Lit accepts the list and agrees to the job without hesitation. Just as the conversation seems to end, Riot stops him, revealing there is one more thing he requires. Leaning forward, Riot reminds Lit of his former life as a well-connected figure in the criminal underworld and seeks the location of the Black Guild, the ultimate hub where the continent's most dangerous secrets are gathered. Riot identifies his target as the Table of Ruin, a place hidden from the eyes of ordinary society. The trail leads to the Kubrick Library, a massive and ornate structure standing in the heart of the capital. On the surface, it serves as the city's largest archive, housing a grand collection of knowledge for scholars and students. Riot navigates the towering bookshelves, knowing the library's public image is merely a facade. He moves with singular purpose, where the building's true purpose is to hide something far more sinister. Riot reaches out, pulls a specific book, and activates a hidden mechanism. Rearranging the books triggers a hidden sequence. A thunderous rumble echoes as the floor shifts, and the wall slides open to reveal a dark passage leading deep underground. Riot steps into the shadows, descending a massive spiral staircase that seems to go on forever, finally reaching a vast blue-lit hall hidden beneath the city. Riot takes in the scale of the secret chamber, realizing he's finally reached the heart of the underworld, the Table of Ruin, the inner sanctum of the Black Guild. As he walks toward the glowing altar, the air thick with ancient magic, a massive silhouette suddenly lunges from above with a bone-crushing strike. Riot doesn't flinch, his eyes tracking the incoming blade with lethal precision. The impact creates a massive shockwave that tears through the floor, but Riot effortlessly blocks the attack, his expression cold and focused. Gripping his weapon, he notes that the guild has a very rough way of welcoming guests. The attacker is revealed to be Randall, a man known as the Bounty Hunter Killer. Randall lets out a wild laugh, explaining this is just how things are done in their world, casually waving toward the receptionist as if the life-or-death clash never happened. Riot follows him deeper into the hall, keeping his guard up. Mina, the guild's receptionist, welcomes Riot with bright, professional energy. She warns him that the guild is no place for the faint of heart, as failure only leads to a costly cleanup, and asks if he's still determined to register. Riot doesn't blink, his cold gaze confirming he's ready for whatever comes next. Mina explains that a registration test is mandatory and asks for the name he'll be using for his new life. Riot falls silent, the weight of his past hanging over him. He knows choosing the wrong name could ruin everything, and running through his old aliases, he realizes they are all too dangerous to touch. Any link to the assassin doll would lead enemies straight to his doorstep. Narrowing his eyes, he focuses on his singular goal. A dark smirk forms as the perfect alias comes to mind. He decides to honor his fallen grandson by taking the name Ray. Standing tall in his youthful body, Riot's gaze burns with lethal determination. Mina acknowledges the name and informs him his registration test is about to begin, leading him through the ornate, blue-lit halls toward a heavy door, promising to explain the test details. Randall takes the lead down a dark spiral staircase lit by eerie purple torches. Ray walks deeper into the shadows, his expression unreadable as he nears his first trial. Mina breaks down the guild's hierarchy, explaining that every request is ranked from S down to F, warning that even the lowest level jobs carry a real risk of death. Because of this extreme danger, every recruit must pass a rigorous registration test. Ray watches her, realizing the guild uses these trials to keep their power level high and weed out the weak. Mina flashes a cheerful smile, making it clear they have no room for half-baked amateurs. Ray remains silent, finding it tragic that a business built on spending lives can thrive so easily. Ray turns his attention to a muscular applicant standing by a torch, asking if he's there for the test. The applicant lets out a dark laugh, revealing a twisted desire to get paid for illegal work and kill as many people as he pleases. A look of pure bloodlust crosses the man's face as he trembles with excitement for the slaughter ahead. Mina leads Ray through the dark corridors, casually nodding the guild attracts violent lunatics. Ray remains unreadable as they step into a massive, circular arena heavy with the scent of death. Mina reveals its name, the Pit of Cursed Offerings. With a cheerful gesture, she instructs the candidates to head down the stairs and take their positions. Ray descends into the pit alongside the other grim-faced applicants, the atmosphere thick with tension. Standing on the balcony above, Mina calls out, asking if everyone is ready, signaling the start of the brutal evaluation. A final voice booms through the arena, welcoming the newcomers. The aggressive applicant loses his patience, screaming for the test to begin while threatening the others. Mina stares down, mocking the man's short fuse, and directs everyone's attention to the ground. A blinding orange light cuts through the floor as stone panels slide back to reveal a pit of bubbling molten lava. Ray remains unfazed, his eyes fixed on the shifting terrain. Mina explains the floor will eventually retract entirely, and the only way to stay alive is to reach the heavy chains descending from the ceiling. Waving playfully, she reminds them that only those who survive the retraction will pass. Despair grips the applicants as they realize the chains are far too high for a normal human to reach. One man in a suit laughs, activating his skywalk skill to sprint up invisible stairs of blue energy. Ray remains grounded, observing as another applicant yells out in jealous rage. The suited man reaches for a chain, certain he's secured his spot, but a girl in a bandana intervenes with competitive malice. She unleashes her vector change skill on the target chain. With a sharp snap, the chain jerks violently out of reach, severing his path to safety. The arrogant applicant plummets into the sea of fire below. The girl laughs at his demise, mocking his naive attempt to save himself and warning that the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Suddenly, a crazed warrior with a manic grin and bloodlust-filled eyes joins the fray, declaring mere survival boring and beginning a brutal assault on everyone around him, turning the arena into a slaughterhouse as he vows to be the only one to pass. Ray watches the carnage from the sidelines, realizing the guild designed this test to force the applicants to butcher one another. Readies himself for the bloodbath, Ray questions if this senseless slaughter is really all there is to it, watching with a cold, analytical gaze. Suddenly, a hulking brawler lunges from the shadows, swinging a massive fist at Ray's head, mocking him for acting cool and demanding he join the fight. Ray doesn't even turn around, his voice dripping with icy indifference as he warns the thug he wouldn't survive 3 seconds against a real master. Enraged, the brawler prepares to strike again, but Ray stops him by pointing toward the ceiling, explaining that slaughtering everyone is pointless if he can't reach the chains. The thug realizes Ray is right and, deciding Ray is too much of a headache, turns his bloodlust toward an easier target. Ray puts his theory to the test and leaps toward the chains. Another contestant reaches a chain first, but the metal suddenly glows with a violent molten heat, searing his skin. He loses his grip, hands charring instantly, and plummets into the inferno with desperate cries. The brawler watches with wide eyes, realizing Ray's warning kept him alive. Ray remains unfazed, seeing through the guild's deadly trick. Mina watches the monitor with a smirk, impressed by Ray's bold survival tactics. Ray mocks the dying man, thanking him for taking the brunt of the lethal energy, calling him scum for his pathetic betrayal. Another desperate contestant realizes the floor is vanishing, loses his footing, and plummets into the inferno. Ray stands alone at the edge of the pit, watching the rest perish. He scoffs at using others as sacrifices, needing no such help. With a sudden strike, Ray slams a massive opponent into the ground, pins him with his boot, and tightens the chains with effortless cruelty. Gripping the white-hot metal with his bare hand, perfectly calm, he reveals his new artificial body is completely immune to the searing heat. Meanwhile, a scene shifts to the Grand Plaza in front of the Sephiroth Knight Order headquarters. A crowd gathers in excitement, erupting in cheers to witness the return of the legendary Sword Star, hailed as the kingdom's greatest knight and a true symbol of justice. Stories of him taking down world-ending monsters with a single strike make him a living legend, his presence a shield keeping the country safe. Excited voices cry out as the hero comes into view. The Sword Star returns to a hero's welcome. Sir Haste stands tall, his calm, noble expression reflecting immense power. Dressed in regal blue and gold armor, the legendary knight prepares to address the people who look up to him as their ultimate savior. Back in the arena, Ray grips the red-hot chain, chillingly calm. From the balcony, Mina and Randall watch in shock as Ray hangs effortlessly above the lava. Randall laughs, calling Ray a lively addition, and Mina agrees with a sly smile, finding the power display entertaining. Ray stares into the darkness, his mind focused on a darker goal. Mina's eyes glint with sadistic hunger, whispering the arena hasn't seen enough bloodshed. Down below, Ray ruthlessly slams his boot into a struggling applicant's face. The man screams in agony, begging him to get off. Ray looks down with a cold smirk, using the man as a literal stepping stone. With a brutal kick, he launches himself higher, sending the man plummeting into the molten lava. Mina claps her hands, signaling the end of the brutal trial, announcing only 2 candidates survived the slaughter. While Ray remains composed, the muscular applicant hangs from his chain, trembling with murderous rage, vowing to hunt Ray down. Ray doesn't even bother to look back. Mina leads Ray away to finalize paperwork, pulling out a quill to enter his name. Ray asks if he'll start at the bottom. Mina confirms with a cheerful smile that all recruits begin at F rank, explaining the strict hierarchy and pyramid system. Ray realizes the path forward is straightforward: keep taking jobs to reach the top. Mina shuts down any idea of an easy promotion, warning that even low-level missions are life or death, fuming about amateurs who quit halfway. Ray dryly notes the paperwork seems like a tough business. Mina describes the top-rank elite warriors as monsters who cross the line between life and death countless times. Anyone reaching a rank or above gets special privileges. Ray focuses on the ultimate prize, S rank, which provides exclusive access to highly confidential information. Mina highlights the classified archive library, a massive glowing pillar containing every secret the Black Guild has ever gathered, urging Ray to aim for the absolute top. Ray looks at the archive with calculating eyes. This is the core of rounds lit mentioned where the truth about the client hides. Ray asks Mina for the absolute fastest way to hit S rank, needing the clearance instantly. Randall leans in with a twisted grin, offering direct advice: start stacking bodies. Suddenly, Mina stands frozen in shock as she recognizes a figure approaching. She whispers Lord Gaia, the guild's most famous prodigy, already fast-tracked for an S-rank promotion. Gaia steps forward with a cocky grin, holding the A-rank first seat. Ray watches closely, sensing the immense pressure. Gaia joined the guild at age 5, burying tens of thousands of targets to become the youngest top-ranker in history. Gaia casually approaches, flashing a toothy smile and calling Ray Big Bro, asking if he's aiming for S-rank too. Ray looks him dead in the eye with a firm yeah. Gaia laughs in Ray's face, mocking his confidence, and dismisses Ray's trial performance, pointing out the cold truth. Ray didn't kill a single person. Gaia claims he can smell something strange on Ray, getting inches from his face, whispering he reeks of fake virtue. Ray stares back confused. Gaia questions the logic of leaving enemies alive, acknowledging Ray's combat skills but mocking his lack of killer instinct, insisting true victory requires total annihilation. A vision of a blood-soaked hand represents Gaia's ruthless path. Ray remains silent. Gaia warns Ray that playing soft is a guaranteed way to end up dead, leaving the lethal advice hanging. Gaia lets out a mocking chuckle. Ray demands what's funny, but Gaia keeps smirking, placing a gloved hand on Ray's shoulder with fake sincerity, mocking the idea of an S-rank candidate worrying about well-being. Gaia whisper-taunts him, and Ray's expression twists into a snarl of irritation. Gaia's eyes turn cold. He admits he'd kill Ray instantly to secure his own status. His hand slides toward Ray's neck as he threatens to decapitate him on the spot. Unintimidated, Ray forcefully strikes Gaia's hand away, disgusted by the fake familiarity. Gaia hunches over, disbelief rising to rage, mocking Ray's low rank and arrogance. Gaia's beastly features sharpen as he unleashes a murderous, pink-hued aura, snarling a final warning that Ray wouldn't survive 10 seconds. Ray remains completely unfazed, a spark of blue mana flickering around his hand. Ray casually interrupts, warning the beastman not to make plans that don't include him. Gaia's face contorts with hunger, declaring he'll kill Ray first. Ray turns a cold shoulder, telling him not to bother, stating that once Gaia is dead he won't even have the luxury of regret. Gaia explodes in a fit of pure rage at the audacity. In a flash of lethal speed, Ray lunges and seizes Gaia's head, silencing the roar. Gaia grabs Ray's collar, boasting about his hunter-killer reputation and threatening to crush Ray's face, but Ray just sighs. Before Gaia can move, a web of glowing mana erupts. Ray activates magic tool creation, manifesting Picket, a pair of pruning iron stakes linked by a high-speed vibrating thread that slices through anything. Ray stands with chilling composure, reminding Gaia he was warned. The vibrating threads crisscross, slicing through Gaia with terrifying speed. Blood erupts in every direction as the beastman is shredded. Ray watches the gore with a cold, hollow gaze, stepping firmly, ready to move on. But Gaia isn't finished. The beastman lunges from the shadows with a desperate, bloodthirsty roar, dropping from above with bared claws. Ray tracks the movement instantly, meeting Gaia's speed with a flawless purple mana counterattack. Ray calmly acknowledges the beastman's potential, then unleashes the Scarlet Whip of Lament, mocking Gaia for charging in a predictable straight line. The glowing chain snakes through the air. Gaia dodges with ease, laughing it off with a cocky grin. Ray remains calm, admitting he expected the dodge, and with blinding speed teleports directly behind the beastman. A massive burst of blue energy erupts as Ray delivers a crushing blow to Gaia's blind spot. The thunderous attack unleashes a massive pillar of blue mana that illuminates the arena. Gaia is hurtled backward, crashing into the floor with a bone-shattering thud, gasping in disbelief. Ray stares down with cold indifference, unimpressed, mocking the boy's stubbornness. Gaia snarls with wounded pride, shouting a defiant reminder of his own strength. From the balcony, Mina watches with a calculating gaze, instantly identifying the rare magic tool creation skill. Shock crosses her face as the familiar fighting style triggers a buried memory. Gaia lunges with a feral roar and a blur of speed, unleashing a flurry of strikes, but Ray blocks every single one with a glowing magic shield, nodding the beastman got faster. Gaia vanishes into a streak of purple light, circling for a killing blow. Thinking he found an opening, Gaia lunges with a predatory grin, but Ray doesn't even flinch. He activates a massive surge of mana from his palm. The shockwave slams into Gaia midair, sending him hurtling backward with a thunderous crash. Ray stares down at the fallen warrior with glowing blue eyes, mocking the boy's arrogance and declaring it's time Gaia learned there's always someone stronger. From her vantage point on the balcony, Mina watches the battle with widening eyes. Analyzing the clash below, she recognizes Ray's unique magic tool creation skill and a fighting style that feels dangerously, impossibly familiar. Down in the arena, Gaia lets out a manic laugh. Thrilled by the immense power Ray is displaying, the beastman's bloodlust peaks as he declares his desperate desire to kill his opponent. Ray, however, remains completely unfazed, blocking the feral assault with chilling precision. Looking down at Gaia with a cold, piercing gaze, Ray delivers a sharp warning. Such a reckless personality will only lead to an early grave. Screaming for Ray to shut up, Gaia lunges with a powerful kick, but Ray remains perfectly calm, summoning a magic circle to flawlessly block the strike. Gaia's rage boils over. With his claws bared and his face twisted into a manic grin, the beastman lunges again, slamming his fist into the ground with bone-shattering force and sending debris flying everywhere. Yet Ray stands his ground behind his shield, completely unfazed by the massive impact. Countering with a swift burst of blue energy, Ray forces Gaia to retreat. The momentum of the fight instantly shifts as Ray takes absolute control of the arena. His expression cold and analytical, Ray's mind is already 3 steps ahead of the young killer. Suddenly, a massive pillar of blue light erupts, shaking the very foundation of the guild hall. Gaia is thrown back by the overwhelming pressure of Ray's true power. But despite the crushing blow, Gaia simply looks up with a crazed laugh, his bloodlust only growing stronger. Ray challenges Gaia to finally take the fight seriously. Answering with a feral roar, Gaia lunges forward, his claws aimed directly at Ray's head. Even with the beastman's sudden burst of speed, Ray blocks the strike effortlessly, his expression remaining cold and focused. Suddenly, a massive, chilling voice echoes through the arena, bringing the duel to a grinding halt. A giant, terrifying eye looms over the combatants, casting a heavy shadow that freezes them both in their tracks. A woman with long dark hair and piercing red eyes steps forward from the gloom, warning Gaia not to get too carried away. This is Noise Hamel, the S-rank holder and 3rd seat of the guild. Furious that his fun has been interrupted, Gaia snarls in frustration, demanding that Noise stay out of his business and claiming Ray is his prey alone. Noise looks down at the beastman with cold disappointment, calling him a disobedient child. A massive serpent coils behind her, a silent testament to the terrifying power she commands. Deciding it's time for a lesson in discipline, Noise unleashes her beast. The massive snake's tail slams into Gaia with bone-crushing force, sending blood spraying across the arena. Standing tall and composed amidst the carnage, Noise warns the young warriors to listen when their elders speak. Riot Birder watches in silence as the S-rank member asserts her absolute dominance. Clutching his wounds, Gaia grinds his teeth in agony and curses his situation. Enraged, he screams at Noise to stop treating people like playthings. A surge of pink mana erupts from his severed limb as he forces his body to rapidly heal. Riot's eyes narrow as he witnesses Gaia's incredible regenerative abilities, realizing he's currently caught between two absolute monsters. Looming in the shadows, Noise Hommeln's eyes glow with a terrifying, otherworldly light. Ray watches Gaia, questioning if these people are even human anymore. Noise turns her gaze toward Ray, casually advising him to put his weapon away if he truly values his life. Ray senses the staggering pressure radiating from Noise, realizing she is far more dangerous than the beastman he just fought. Despite the threat, Ray's resolve doesn't waver. He is prepared to do whatever it takes to get what he needs. Catching a hint of his dark ambition, Noise's smile grows wider as she begins to walk toward him. In an instant she closes the distance, leaning in to whisper Ray's secret goal, the classified archive library, directly into his ear. Ray freezes in shock, his eyes widening as his true motive is laid bare. Noise notes that the library is the only reason anyone would be this obsessed with reaching S rank. She leans in with a final, tempting offer. If Ray obeys her, she will help him reach his goal. Staring back with deep suspicion, Ray demands to know what Noise Hommeln is really after. She admits she has her own hidden agenda and needs an obedient partner to see it through. Praising Ray's youth and strength as the ideal traits for her plans, she whispers that he is the perfect tool for her next move. Listening in silence, Ray fixes his sharp gaze on the woman who has seen through his disguise. He scoffs at the proposal, acknowledging the deal is good but knowing the hidden cost is terrifying. Noise Hommeln gives him a choice, though her menacing smile suggests there is only one right answer. She warns him that if he refuses, she will become the ultimate obstacle standing between him and his revenge. Noise Hommeln signals for Gaia to follow as they prepare to depart. Snapping back in a fit of rage, Gaia refuses to be ordered around by her or anyone else. He turns his fury toward Ray, baring his fangs and vowing to be the one who finishes Big Bro off for good next time. Ray watches them leave with a look of pure irritation, realizing just how annoying this situation has become. But his thoughts quickly shift back to the man at the center of his vengeance, Sir Haste. Determined to tear through any obstacle if it brings him even a step closer to his target, Ray's eyes ignite with a cold blue mana as his resolve hardens into a lethal promise. 1 week later, the hunt for information leads Ray deep into the heart of the Kubrick Library. He stands before the massive glowing archive of the Table of Ruin, ready to uncover the secrets hidden within. Back at the reception desk, Mina stares at his paperwork in total disbelief, her jaw dropping as she realizes the sheer scale of his achievement. A literal mountain of completed request forms sits on the desk, representing an impossible amount of work finished in record time. Riot stands calmly, confirming that every single task she sent his way has been dealt with. Breaking out in a cold sweat, Mina explains that this mountain of work should have taken a normal person at least 2 years to complete. Riot's gaze remains cold and focused. He acknowledges internally that he is anything but a normal human, reflecting on the true nature of his new form, a masterpiece designed to transcend the limits of the flesh. His artificial body pulses with a constant flow of mana, allowing him to operate at a level of efficiency that leaves everyone else in the dust. Flipping through Ray's flawless reports, Mina's eyes widen as she confirms his promotion to D rank is already a done deal. But Ray isn't satisfied. He asks about the requirements for reaching C rank. Mina explains it requires recommendations from the elite and the completion of specific named requests before dropping a massive bombshell. A top ranker has already put in a good word for him. Ray recognizes the purple-haired woman instantly, knowing exactly who is pulling the strings. Mina presents a special dossier containing a direct request. Ray reads the chilling objective, the assassination of a D-rank adventurer. Questioning the rarity of the mission, Ray listens as Mina insists a direct nomination is nearly impossible to get. Beaming with excitement, she explains that the requester is none other than Lady Noise. As the head of the guild's most powerful faction, her personal interest in Ray changes everything. Ray recalls that the last person Lady Noise personally scouted was the top-ranked A-class Lord Gaia. A memory flashes of Gaia smirking, his yellow eyes radiating a dangerous, predatory confidence while Lady Noise smiles to herself, focused on her own personal goals. Ray stares at the invitation, questioning her true motives for gathering such elite subordinates. He examines the card, which displays a cryptic and stylized message, "Kiss or bite." Reading the ultimatum, Ray realizes he must either offer a kiss or prepare for a bite. His expression remains serious as he considers the dark implications of this strange request. The scene shifts to the grand, sun-drenched headquarters of the Sephiroth Knight Order, where high-ranking knights and citizens fill the bustling main hall, their voices echoing through the chamber. Ray walks through the crowd, his mind set on uncovering the secrets hidden within these walls. Arriving at the designated meeting spot, he steps into the bustling main hall of the Adventure Guild, a historic organization dating back before the Great War, much like the notorious Black Guild, Rounds. Ray's gaze settles on a blond man waiting in the center of the room. Alexis Slyne approaches with a confident stride, immediately recognizing the newcomer. Ray gives a short, direct confirmation as their eyes meet. Alexis offers a friendly introduction, revealing himself as the leader of the party known as Steel Wings. Despite his polite demeanor, Alexis is officially ranked as a D-rank swordsman. Offering a friendly handshake, Alexis suggests they keep things casual. Ray accepts the gesture, introducing himself simply as Ray and admitting he's a complete rookie who just registered, asking for any guidance Alexis can provide. Relieved to have secured a rookie with such a rare utility, Alexis welcomes Ray to the team. He emphasizes that finding a magic bag user is nearly impossible, making Ray a vital asset for their mission. Ray plays along with the deception, nodding stoically as he promises to keep the importance of his skill in mind. The magic bag skill is a coveted power that allows a user to store items in a separate, infinite pocket dimension. However, Ray is secretly using magic tool creation to hide his true identity and legendary power. He checks the dimensional storage vault strapped to his leg, a tool he forged to perfectly mimic the rare storage skill. Ray's gaze turns sharp as he prepares to play the role of a lowly pack mule for the party. This disguise is the perfect way to infiltrate the group and get within striking distance of his true target. Alexis leads him deeper into the hall to meet the rest of the team. As the group gathers, Alexis presents Carisha Noir as the party's dedicated healer sent directly from the church. Carisha stares back with a cold, distant expression, her status as a D-rank priest making her look more like a soldier than a sister. Alexis then points out the man in the back, Einbot, who handles the dangerous tasks of scouting and diversion. Ein doesn't bother with a warm welcome. His sharp gaze and D-rank thief title mark him as the most hostile member of the group. Scoffing at the new addition, Ein makes it clear he has zero interest in cozying up to a stray like Ray. He emphasizes that this is strictly business, intending to finish the request, take the pay, and disband the party immediately. His eyes narrow with a lethal intensity as he declares that once the job is done, they are finished with one another. Trying to play peacemaker, Alexis wraps an arm around the thief and urges everyone to try and get along for the sake of the mission. Ein's patience snaps instantly. Recoiling from the touch with a look of pure unadulterated disgust, Ein seizes a flower vase from the table and prepares to lash out. Shouting a final aggressive warning for Alexis to stay away, he hurls the water and flowers directly into the leader's face. Furious, Ein shouts that his patience is completely exhausted. Offering a sheepish apology, Alexis admits he's terrible at reading the room. Ray watches the dysfunction unfold, realizing this level of bad chemistry is unlike anything he's seen before. His mind shifts to the mission's true purpose as he glances at the contract in his hand, wondering what kind of history led someone to put a hit on a man like Alexis Slyne. Oblivious to the danger, Alexis adjusts his collar with a confident, easygoing smile. Ray's gaze turns chillingly sharp, his eyes glowing with murderous intent. He makes a silent, lethal vow, for the sake of his goal, Alexis Slyne has to die. A flashback reveals Riot Berger, reborn as Ray, standing before a table of holographic figures 1 week ago. He receives word of a rumor. A mythic item he once left behind is hidden in the deepest chamber of a dungeon. With a cold, calculating gaze, he vows to secure the treasure himself. The legendary assassin doll has returned and his path is paved with vengeance. Fast forward to the present, Ray's hunt leads him into a dark, stone-walled corridor. A sudden flash of energy illuminates the shadows as he activates his parry skill, manifesting a hexagonal barrier that completely negates a massive fire attack. The Steel Wings party pushes deeper into the ruins until they encounter a towering mud golem. Leaping high into the air, Ray prepares to strike from above. He activates his deceive skill, distorting the golem's perception to create a fatal opening. Seizing the moment, Alexis lunges forward with his dagger, shouting for the monster to crumble. His strike connects with explosive force, shattering the golem into a cloud of dust and debris. Ray lands gracefully, watching as the party celebrates a victory quietly orchestrated. Victorious, Alexis signals the team to head deeper. From the sidelines, Ray's eyes narrow in a cold, critical assessment. He finds their pace pathetic, noting that even for a D-rank dungeon they are moving far too slowly, and reflects on how the long peace has lowered the bar for skilled adventurers. When Alexis tries to show concern for Carisha, she dismisses him with her usual coldness. Picking up a discarded magic stone, Ray's mind is already miles ahead of his teammates. Alexis asks Ray to toss the loot into his magic bag. Catching the stone with practiced ease, Ray plays the helpful rookie, flashing a friendly smile to hide his true identity. Alexis thanks him, completely oblivious to the legendary assassin standing in his shadow. The moment Alexis turns his back, Ray's expression shifts to a chilling, lethal focus. He realizes with cold certainty that ending Alexis's life would be effortless. Following behind, Ray locks his murderous gaze onto his unsuspecting target, calculating the perfect moment to strike. To make it look like an accident and leave no trace behind, he knows timing is everything. The party halts before a massive, iron-reinforced door. Announcing they've finally reached the boss room, Alexis signals the group. As the heavy doors creak open, a wave of heat and blinding light washes over the team. They step into the chamber and come face to face with a towering monster of rock and molten gold. The giant golem roars, its massive frame radiating intense heat. Pointing toward the far end of the room, Alexis reminds everyone that their primary goal isn't just the boss, but the heavy wooden treasure chest sitting atop a stone pedestal, locked away behind thick iron chains. He explains that a legendary magic tool rests inside, valuable enough to set them all up for life, and insists that killing the boss isn't their priority as long as they secure the chest. Looking on in disbelief, Ein questions the logic of this dangerous plan, pointing out that the flaming guardian is standing directly in their path, radiating a crushing pressure. Ein warns that stepping into the combat zone is a death sentence for their level. Acknowledging the danger with a calm expression, Alexis reveals that even Blaze Dragon, the kingdom's top adventurer clan, was forced to retreat from this fight. Panicking, Ein realizes they're facing an unbeatable monster. Yet Ray remains unfazed by the terrifying odds. Stepping forward with a steady pace and unshaken confidence, Ray promises he has a secret plan to handle the situation as a magic circle begins to glow beneath his feet. Suddenly, Alexis turns on his own team, driving a blade through Carisha's back without a moment's hesitation. Gasping in disbelief, Carisha's eyes widen with shock as blood splatters across the dark chamber. The force of the blow sends her flying across the room, crashing violently against the stone altar. Paralyzed by the brutal betrayal, Ein screams her name in pure horror. The violence triggers the room's guardian. As flames erupt around it, the giant golem awakens. Alexis shouts a mock warning as the massive stone beast sends debris flying everywhere. Lunging through the smoke, Ray shields the wounded Carisha from the golem's collateral path. Watching the chaos with a chilling, satisfied smirk, Alexis finally displays his true colors. He casually notes that the golem is up, his voice dripping with cold malice. Roaring in fury, Ein brands Alexis a bastard for sacrificing their teammate. Unfazed, Alexis tells them to stay quiet while he reveals his true objective, a specific exploit in this boss room. As long as someone is locked in combat with the golem, the rest of the room becomes a safe zone. A hidden path is revealed as a wall of stone crumbles away, sending massive blocks crashing into the molten lava below. Smiling brightly, Alexis explains that this shortcut leads straight to the treasure, allowing him to claim the rewards without lifting a sword. Cradling the bleeding Carisha, Ein's face contorts in pure rage, realizing Alexis deliberately put her in harm's way. Letting out a manic, bloodshot laugh, Alexis mocks them, declaring that commoners like them only exist to make his life easier. Refusing to back down, Ein glares with lethal intent and strikes a nerve, reminding Alexis that he's nothing more than a fallen noble. The smug grin vanishes, replaced by cold, murderous hatred as Alexis spits out a final insult, calling Ein trash from the gutters. From the shadows, Ray observes the betrayal, his expression unreadable. He realizes the man he was sent to kill is far more rotten than he initially thought. Alexis reveals he knows the truth about Ein and Carisha's relationship, mocking their impure acts as his eyes glow with a sinister blue light. He explains that under church law, a sister losing her purity is a forbidden taboo and threatens to report them to the Inquisition. Leaning in with a twisted, predatory grin, he asks Carisha if she knows exactly what the church will do to her. She remains silent, head bowed in shame as blood drips from her lip. Enraged, Ein lunges forward and grabs Alexis by the collar, but Alexis doesn't even flinch, maintaining a smug smirk. Casually pointing toward the nearby battlefield, Alexis asks if they really have time to worry about him, warning that they are in a combat zone and are targets until they die. The flaming golem erupts into the scene, forcing the party into a desperate struggle. Locking its sights directly on Carisha, the golem unleashes a devastating strike with its massive blade. A massive explosion of fire and debris consumes the battlefield. Diving through the smoke, Ein desperately shields Carisha from the blast, checking if she can still move. Ray watches the chaos, his sharp eyes tracking every movement as Ein grits his teeth in frustration. Watching from the sidelines with a cold-hearted smirk, Alexis decides to abandon his teammates to face certain death alone. Ordering Ray to secure the treasure chest immediately, Alexis shows no care for his teammates, nodding the route will close if they die. He leans in with a greedy smirk, counting on Ray's magic bag. Starring back with a cold, sideways glance, Ray concludes that Alexis is a top-tier scumbag. Alexis shouts in frustration, demanding Ray hurry. Ignoring the orders, Ray turns his back on the treasure, refusing to let his humanity slip away or abandon people on the verge of death. He heads back into the flames to save the others. Alexis scoffs at Ray's attempt to help, convinced the boy is a useless assistant. Unbothered, Ray responds with a calm, knowing smile, telling Alexis we'll see about that. Ray activates his signature skill, magic tool creation. A blinding pillar of blue light erupts as he summons the legendary holy sword Excalibur. Ray's eyes glow with lethal focus. With one massive swing, he delivers a devastating strike that cleaves through the mechanical giant, completely obliterating it in a blinding shockwave of blue light. Alexis and Carisha stare in disbelief, their faces frozen in absolute shock. As the magical particles fade, Ray stands amidst the wreckage with a chillingly calm expression, his power far exceeding anything they imagined. Stammering, Alexis demands to know what kind of monster possesses such overwhelming strength. Before he can get an answer, a thick purple mist swirls around them. Offering a quiet apology, Ray activates the perfume of silence, instantly clouding their senses. Within seconds, Carisha collapses into a deep magical slumber. Designed to neutralize witnesses without harm, the tool allows Ray to continue his mission. Trembling in fear, Alexis, pale with terror, points a trembling finger and demands to know who stands before him. Hidden in the shadows, Riot remains calm before the legendary name echoes through the room. Standing tall, Riot coldly declares he is the man who has come to end Alexis's life. In the aftermath, Alexis bursts into mocking laughter, refusing to believe a rookie is the legendary craftsman, calling him a pack mule stealing a famous name. Suddenly, a cold realization hits Alexis. He demands to know if Riot's true goal is the mythic item. Riot remains silent. Driven by greed, Alexis snaps, claiming the item for himself. With a snarl of rage, he lunges with a lethal surprise attack. The giant blue blade of Excalibur shatters the earth. Standing amidst the debris, Riot calmly claims victory, declaring he's the only one opening the chest. Watching with fear and resentment, Alexis accuses Riot of hiding his strength to snatch the reward, calling him a coward. Ignoring the insults, Alexis rushes to the chest and flings it open. Inside, the mythic item is revealed to be nothing more than a few glowing red recovery potions. Stunned and empty-handed, Alexis realizes his high-stakes gamble yielded a mediocre reward. Watching from the side, Riot pieces the deception together, realizing Alexis was lured into a trap by a third party. If rumors of his mythic items are spreading, Riot knows the real danger is beginning. Approaching the prize, Alexis's eyes go wide with greed. As he demands the item, Riot cuts him off with a calm proposal, suggesting a deal. Holding up a red vial, Riot explains mythic items are too valuable to give away for free, setting the price at 25 million each or 100 million for the set. Exploding in a fit of rage, Alexis lunges to seize the prize by force. Riot watches with bored indifference, inviting Alexis to try his best. Reminded of Riot's terrifying power, Alexis grits his teeth and agrees to negotiate. Panicking over the 100 million price tag, Alexis claims it's beyond his reach. Riot casually suggests Alexis ask his patron, mocking him by doubting his boss is rich enough. Boiling with rage, Alexis proudly reveals he works for the legendary clan Blaze Dragon, boasting the sum is pocket change. Riot connects the dots. Blaze Dragon is leaking the information. Demanding the tool up front, Alexis catches the vials Riot tosses. Bursting into laughter, Alexis mocks Riot for being an easy target, clutching the vials as his ticket back to nobility and declaring he'd never hand them over. Remaining perfectly calm, Riot admits he expected this. Reaching for his weapon, he reveals Picket, the pruning iron stake. Weaving a lethal web of red threads around Alexis, Ray stares him down with a cold smirk. A spray of blood paints the air. Declaring Alexis's dreams over, Ray channels Mana, his eyes glowing with murderous intent. Alexis gasps in pain, his body broken as the weight of his sins catches up to him in his final moments. Ray opens his eyes to find Alexis standing over him with a calm, deceptive smile. Panic surges as Ray demands to know Carisha's status. She is unconscious but stable. The mood turns cold as Alexis reveals Ein met a gruesome end in a dungeon trap. Ray stares at the crimson pool, struggling to process the death as he listens to Alexis poison his thoughts by claiming Ein's greed killed him. Ray remains silent, his eyes reflecting deep suspicion at the convenient explanation. Alexis feigns awe at Ray's strength, questioning how a rookie one-shot a boss. Ray maintains his cover, claiming he got lucky with a magic tool. Ein watches Ray with a mix of suspicion and awe, finding the explanation hard to believe but acknowledges Ray is blessed with fortune. Ray accepts the praise. Carisha groans softly, regaining consciousness. Overcome with relief, Ein pulls her clothes in a panic. Carisha's strength returns as she realizes they survived. Silhouetted against the light, Ray decides it's time to leave the dungeon behind. After reporting to the Adventurer Guild, the group parts ways. Ray reflects on the truth behind the Steel Wings party. Ein and Carisha were a secret couple all along. Their secret became a nightmare when Alexis found out and used it to blackmail Carisha. But with the villainous Alexis finally out of the picture, the two can live without fear. Ray watches them from a distance, genuinely hoping they find happiness. Returning to the heart of the Black Guild, Ray stands before the glowing structures of the Table of Ruin. Mina greets him with cheerful energy, impressed by his speed. She hands over the official paperwork, beaming with pride as she officially promotes Ray to C rank. Ray asks for his next assignment. Checking the records, Mina informs him of a high-priority mission: accompany the S-rank elite Noise Hameln on a dungeon expedition to find a mythic item. Ray's expression hardens as the name of his forbidden creations resurfaces. He reflects on how these items were once top-secret artifacts known only to military brass. Realizing someone is leaking classified info to the public, he clenches his fist in silent rage, knowing his secrets are no longer safe. With lethal determination, Ray vows to speed up his hunt for the client before the world is thrown into chaos, knowing the world will burn if his mythic items are abused. Deep within the Blaze Dragon Guild's conference room, a secret meeting flickers to life. A holographic leader scoffs at a recent failure, calling his subordinate a useless fool. Noise Hameln watches the projection, nodding that the boy finally understands why he was cast out. She quickly shifts focus, asking about the mythic item. The leader confirms the item was a fake, admitting finding a true masterpiece of Riot Berger won't be easy. Despite the setback, the clan agrees their master plan cannot be delayed. They envision a world of fire and ruins where they reign as ultimate masters, plunging the continent back into chaos to secure power forever. In a secret chamber, a holographic figure asks if this dark path is acceptable. Standing before the glowing table, Ray offers his chilling consent. Tyrio, vice captain of the Knights of Severus, watches with a calculating smirk, acknowledging the final decision belongs to the legendary Sword Star. Riot arrives at the entrance of the hidden dungeon, Tauros. Noise Hameln watches him approach with a playful smirk, calling him a rising star. A sudden bolt of lightning illuminates the chamber as Riot stands firm. He stares back with a cold, analytical gaze, recognizing the S-rank second seat. Noise stands with arms crossed, her expression filled with dangerous confidence. Arriving at the boss room, Ray finds the 1-hour deadline completely unreasonable. Unfazed, Noise suggests he stop holding back, holding up a glowing blue crystal. A massive crystalline structure suddenly cracks. With a deafening roar, the boss of the hidden dungeon shatters its prison, forcing Ray to finally get serious. The massive beast lunges, unleashing a devastating strike. Standing firm against its overwhelming size, Ray activates magic tool creation to summon the Holy Shield Aegis. The divine barrier absorbs the crushing impact without a single crack. Acknowledging the monster's heavy strength, Ray realizes his artificial body is perfectly safe, though he sighs at the tedious pain of bringing it down. Standing alone in the vast arena, Ray prepares to unleash his true power. Resting against the crystalline shards after the battle, Ray's eyes fix on the woman perched above him. Breaking the silence, Noise asks if he truly believed a mythic item was hidden here. With a playful smile, she reveals the rumors were a complete fabrication, a convenient lie to lure him out. Ray looks back in shock, processing the depth of her deception. Behind them, the dungeon boss shatters into a million fragments. Leaning in, Noise questions his knowledge of the forbidden artifacts. Ray's expression shifts to cold realization as he stares into her piercing eyes, finally understanding she was testing his limits from the very beginning. Mocking him, Noise warns that losing focus will lead to his death. Standing his ground, Ray's mana erupts in a violent surge of blue energy. He summons the Scarlet Whip of Lament, starring back with lethal intensity. Noise watches with a sharp gaze as the crimson chains lash out. Without hesitation, Ray shifts his power and summons his ultimate weapon, the Holy Sword Excalibur. He unleashes a blinding flurry of strikes, the blue mana carving through the massive guardian with effortless precision. As the beast shatters into fragments of light, Ray stands amidst the destruction, breathing perfectly steady. Watching from the shadows, Noise's purple eyes glow analytically. She admits she chose this place to test him, yet realizes he is still holding back his true potential. Shrouded in a dark aura, Ray turns toward her, cold and unreadable. Stepping forward, her heels clicking against the stone, Noise confesses how unsettling he truly is. With a dangerous smile, she compares Ray to a devil merely pretending to be human. Unfazed, Ray acknowledges her words with a dry, lethal calm. Holding a thin thread as Noise looms in the shadows, her purple eyes gleaming with dangerous insight, she bluntly states that he isn't human. Purple energy surges as she summons a massive spectral serpent. The beast lunges, its jaws wide for a lethal strike. Ray doesn't flinch, standing like a statue as the serpent bites down on his head, completely unharmed. Watching with a frustrated smirk, Noise demands a reaction. Ray effortlessly catches the serpent by the throat, dismissing the attack as a mere surprise of speed. He looks away with a hollow expression, realizing his lack of emotion is the true anomaly. Nodding he didn't even flinch, Noise calls his reaction inhuman. Ray remains silent. Continuing her deduction, Noise reveals she traced his footsteps back to a burnt-out magic tool shop, claiming the old man and grandson who lived there are officially dead. Ray's eyes widen in shock. Stepping closer, Noise explains she discovered the old man's true identity after examining the remains. A vision of a massive dead beast appears, locked in a final scream of agony, a victim of the craftsman's lethal tools. With a chilling smile, Noise knows she's cornered the legendary assassin doll. Slamming Gaia into the ground to silence his interference, Noise warns the beastman not to interrupt. Ray remains unfazed, questioning what this has to do with him. Smiling, Noise frames her discovery as a hypothesis, identifying him as the legendary creator. Ray's expression hardens as she speaks the name, Riot Berger. Laying out the evidence of his impossible skills and immunity to heat, she looks on with a triumphant grin. Suggesting his battle skills match a seasoned soldier, she notes that if the dead man returned to life, he'd look exactly like him. Leaning in with sharp curiosity, she demands to know the truth of where he came from. Ray remains silent, slowly closing his eyes as a vision of his past life, the endless slaughter and fires of war flashes across his mind. Standing before a surge of blue mana, Ray activates his signature skill, magic tool creation, to forge a weapon of absolute destruction. The air crackles with intensity as a massive pillar of green lightning descends. He calls upon the legendary mythic item, the Holy Hammer Mjolnir. Gaia watches in pure terror as the colossal weapon illuminates the arena with overwhelming pressure. Staring him down with cold eyes, Ray warns the beastman he's still holding back, declaring that if he unleashed his full power there wouldn't be enough left to bury. The massive hammer pulses with terrifying energy. Standing amidst the crackling green lightning and swirling debris, Ray looks back with a chilling, confident smirk. Warning that his power isn't focused on a single target, he delivers a final, lethal ultimatum. If he truly lets loose, he won't stop until everyone present is dead. Striding through the glowing ruins, Ray levels his blade directly at Noise's throat, demanding her cooperation with cold intensity. Completely unfazed, Noise meets his threat with a mocking smile, casually ignoring the steel at her neck. Sensing Ray needs her alive, she leans in close, exposing his desperate need to reach S rank. Ray's expression hardens into quiet fury, confirming her information is all he values. A sinister, satisfied grin spreads across Noise's face as she realizes the legendary craftsman is playing her game. Turning the conversation to the man who ended his previous life, Ray identifies the mastermind as the client. He describes the killer's monstrous power, nodding he is stronger than the highest-ranked adventurers, and adds a specific detail, a unique identifying mark on his face. Noise's composure falters for a split second, the mention of the mark clearly striking a chord. Demanding to know if she recognizes the man, Ray is frustrated as Noise maintains her distance, reminding him she doesn't give information for free. Questioning if she has any intention of aiding his hunt, Noise casts a sly glance over her shoulder, promising to help, but only on her terms. Asserting her dominance, she makes it clear Ray must follow her orders without question. Looking away in irritation, Ray hates the position he's in. Ignoring his annoyance, Noise explains the terms. Ray will take on jobs to find the culprit while she uses his talents to reach her own objectives. Pointing out their overlapping goals, Ray closes his eyes and finally agrees, warning her not to break her word. Giving a confident smile as a magical aura surrounds her, Noise urges Ray to hurry back to the guild. Standing alone for a moment, Ray's resolve hardens. Leading Ray through the ruins, Noise's mind races with certainty. She has acquired the legendary Riot Berger. A predatory smirk spreads across her face as she vows to exploit his power to the absolute fullest. The scene shifts to a lavish office decorated with gold and massive chandeliers. When Ray asks where they are, Noise casually reveals it's her private S-rank sanctuary. Ray takes in the opulence without a hint of being impressed, his sharp gaze focused on their next move. Handing Ray a dossier, Noise offers a crucial piece of information, a detailed list of members from the Alumni Association of the major clan, Blaze Dragon. Ray instantly recognizes the organization linked to his previous investigation. Explaining that their recent activities have taken a suspicious turn, Noise reveals a chilling rumor. The group has managed to get their hands on a genuine mythic item. Ray's expression hardens. Noticing a new investigation request, Ray asks who is behind the report. Noise reveals the shocking source, the Royal Army, the very organization he once served. A stolen mythic item has the army in a frenzy. When Ray asks which creation they lost, Noise keeps her cards close, revealing the specific item is classified. Handing him the investigation file, Noise confirms she wants him to infiltrate the Blaze Dragon alumni group, dangling a massive payday and a guaranteed jump to B rank as bait. Ray admits it's a solid deal, but his sights are set much higher. Preparing to leave, his expression turns cold. He demands that by the time he returns, Noise must have a mission ready to rocket him straight to S rank. Exiting the room, the heavy door clicks shut as Ray begins his next hunt. Striding through the grand hallway, his mind traces the path of the stolen artifacts. Clenching his fist with lethal intensity, he vows to avenge his grandson and stop the abuse of his legendary tools. The scene shifts to the bustling main headquarters of the notorious Blaze Dragon Adventurer clan. A heavy wooden mug slams onto a table, splashing beer as a furious voice rings out. A red-haired adventurer named Hyona screams in frustration, claiming an old geezer set them up in what turned out to be an S-rank nightmare. Twisting her face in pure rage, she is met with the laughter of Rex, who tries to soothe her by reminding her that her strength kept them alive. A cold voice interrupts as Dino, casually eating a roll with his eyes hidden behind dark hair, bluntly reminds Rex his carefree attitude got him kicked out of an elite S-rank party. Losing his cool, Rex shouts at Dino to shut his mouth, claiming he left on his own terms. Grabbing Rex by the collar, Hyona warns that the fossilized old men are trying to stage their accidental deaths because they belong to the Reform faction. Looking over a B-rank assignment sheet, Rex realizes it's no coincidence. With a menacing grin, Hyona suggests they beat their enemies to the punch and kill them first. Gripping her hand in worry, Rex admits they need more allies, specifically someone flexible with a strong sense of justice, who is stronger than any S-rank or founding member. As Dinah walks into the room with a calm, imposing presence, Hyona complains about their selfish S-ranks and suggests poaching a powerful member from another clan. Standing in the middle of the bustling hall, Ray reflects on the lack of trustworthy people. Rex approaches, asking if he's the new recruit everyone is talking about. Ignoring the interruption, Hyona suggests raising a powerful ally of their own, leading to a bickering match with Rex. Suddenly, a massive shockwave rocks the room as a heavy blow is delivered. The impact leaves the surrounding guild members frozen in shock. Casually adjusting his gloves, Ray looks completely bored by the sudden violence, noting that hazing the new guy is the same everywhere. Rex and Dinah watch from a distance, stunned by the raw power Ray just displayed. Warning the rowdy crowd to take their brawl elsewhere, Hyona's eyes snap open in disbelief. Tracking Ray closely, she realizes he struck with zero wind-up, a feat of pure mastery. As the large man is launched backward, Hyona realizes she couldn't even react to the speed of the strike. Examining the fallen man, she notes Ray hit him with surgical precision to incapacitate, not kill. A dark, thrilled smile creeps onto Hyona's face as she concludes without a doubt that Ray's power is far above S-rank. Priding herself on spotting such refined technique, she snaps to attention as another rowdy thug confronts Ray. Remaining completely unfazed, Ray's cold gaze pierces right through the man's bravado. Before it can escalate, Hyona suddenly leans in, catching Ray completely off guard. Her sharp eyes locked onto him with intense, predatory interest, she points a finger directly at the mysterious newcomer. Cutting straight to the point, she asks if he's looking for a clan to join. Ray stares back with a stoic expression, calculating the risks of this unexpected encounter. Making a grand gesture, Hyona drops the formalities and asks Ray to join her personal party right on the spot. Hyona leans in with a confident, almost predatory smirk, demanding Ray join her party right in the middle of the crowded guild hall. Ray looks back, his stoic expression giving nothing away as he questions the sudden, direct offer. Not skipping a beat, Hyona confirms she's been hunting for someone with his exact level of strength. From the sidelines, Rex watches the exchange, his face twisted in utter disbelief. He wonders why his boss is wasting time on a total stranger, but before he can voice his doubts, Hyona snaps at him. She demands he stay quiet and let her handle the recruitment, her full attention turning back to Ray as she waits expectantly for an answer. But Ray remains perfectly composed. His eyes reflect a quiet, lethal resolve as he offers a polite but absolutely firm rejection. A faint, knowing smile crosses his face as he lays out his stance. He has zero intention of tying himself down to any specific party. A flashback reveals the legendary figures Melzen Hilt and Pilsener Hajak, heroes who rose to fame after slaying the evil dragon Zariksil. Their success paved the way for a massive clan that attracted the strongest adventurers in the land, and among that elite stood Dunkel Slime, a man who earned the brilliant title of the Flame Dragon Hunter. Years later, a grand carriage pulls up to a heavily guarded estate. Dunkel Slime, now a powerful executive for the Blaze Dragon Alumni Association, steps into the light, his gaze stern and authoritative. From the shadows, Ray watches the carriage, his mind locked onto his next target. He identifies the man as the uncle of Alexis Slime, the very scumbag he recently assassinated. Sifting through the secret ledgers of the Alumni Association, Ray had discovered that Dunkel is the only noble in the group and the main channel for their operating funds. This realization confirmed that Dunkel was the one who leaked the location of the mythic items to his nephew. Under the cover of night, Ray stalks Dunkel's carriage from the rooftops, noting that the man's public lifestyle makes him an easy target to track, unlike the other hidden executives. With a sharp gaze, Ray watches the carriage halt at a guarded gate where Dunkel is immediately greeted by a waiting associate. Perched high above the street, Ray keeps a close eye on their meeting, recognizing the building below as a critical piece of the puzzle. Inside the underground casino's VIP lounge, the air is thick with luxury and hidden agendas. Bunny-eared waitresses move through the room, serving the wealthy elite while keeping their ears open for secrets. One waitress leans in close to Dunkel Slime, whispering that their preparations are moving along perfectly. She confirms they've successfully secured the mythic item they've been hunting. Sitting back with a cold look of satisfaction, Dunkel praises the remarkable work of his subordinates. A hooded associate bows before him, acknowledging that this success was only possible because of Dunkel's leadership. The spy declares that everything is finally in place and all that remains is to put their master plan into motion. High above the lounge, Ray watches the entire meeting from the shadows, his expression unreadable. He uses his magic tool, sound spider web of 1,000 strings, to intercept every single word spoken below. Ray's gaze turns sharp and lethal as he confirms that Dunkel Sline is indeed the mastermind he's been hunting. Dunkel stares at the invisible threads around him, fully aware that his words are being intercepted by Ray's magic tool. He casually remarks that the world has become dull now that monsters are nearly extinct, and a fragile peace has settled over the land. He complains that this lack of conflict has left adventurers and his own organization with nothing but a pittance for profit. A dark, sinister smile crosses his face as he questions the sanity of whoever would dare to revive an ancient nightmare. His hooded subordinate agrees, relishing the idea that more chaos always leads to better business for their kind. But Dunkel's tone shifts to one of genuine caution, acknowledging that one specific creature stands in a league of its own. While Ray watches the city from a rooftop in silence, the name of a legendary terror is finally spoken: Zaraixil, the evil dragon. A massive glowing eye ignites in the darkness, heralding the return of a calamity-class monster capable of ending the world. The Dunkel plots to profit massively from Zaraixil's revival. He envisions his clan, Blaze Dragon, reaping incredible wealth and glory by monopolizing the resulting monster hunts. His subordinate agrees, believing a legend from the past will usher in a new golden age for their organization. High above on the rooftop, Ray listens to every word through his magic tool. The name Zaraixil triggers a memory of a brutal battle he fought long ago. 40 years ago, Riot used his mythic items to neutralize the ancient beast. While the royal army publicly credited adventurers for the victory, the truth remained hidden. The dragon was never truly destroyed. It was sealed deep beneath the royal capital. A powerful artifact known as the desert's dry spring, Wither, keeps the monster dormant in the darkness, while the demon-calling gourd, a terrifying tool that drains moisture and seals mana into gems, works alongside it. If the effects of this mythic pair are reversed, the sealed dragon Zaraixil will awaken and burn the capital to the ground. Listening from the shadows, Ray's eyes burn with a cold resolve to stop this catastrophe at any cost. Inside the secret meeting, Dunkel asks for a mysterious third party's opinion on their plan. Ray catches the mention of this unknown he, realizing there's a deeper mastermind behind the conspiracy. Dunkel dismisses the concern, asserting his absolute authority over the operation. Suddenly his sharp senses tingle as he detects a faint, unnatural presence nearby. His subordinate reacts in shock, terrified that their secret conversation is being overheard. Dunkel scans the area, but Ray's presence is so faint that the villain can't quite pinpoint his location. Looming in the dim room, Dunkel's sharp gaze finally locks onto a small, hidden intruder. Realizing the spy isn't human, he delivers a swift, lethal strike, shattering a crystalline sound spider into jagged pieces. Dunkel smirks, nodding that the intruder was more like a spider than a man. High above on the rooftop, Ray feels his connection to the magic tool suddenly vanish. He is impressed by Dunkel's sharp eyes despite his best efforts to suppress the spider's mana signature to its absolute limit. Realizing that remote spying tools are useless against an opponent this perceptive, Ray accepts that his stealthy approach has reached its end. He had hoped to draw out more concrete details, but now there is no helping it. Standing tall under the light of the full moon, Ray decides it's time to pay the enemy a visit in person. Infiltrating the bustling main hall of the underground casino, he moves through the crowd of gamblers and bunny girls. His mind is heavy with questions about the revival of Zaraixil and how the enemy plans to control such a destructive force. Suddenly, his sharp senses pick up a familiar magical trace, the resonance of the echo of memories, the sinister artifact that once stole his grandson's mind. This clue leads him to a startling realization about the mysterious hymn the enemy mentioned. Ray's gaze turns lethal as he locks onto a specific target in the room. Moving with blinding speed, he reaches out and firmly grabs a red-haired waitress by the arm, cornering her amidst the gambling tables. With a cold and certain look, he declares that he has finally found her. Ray corners Hyona in the middle of the casino. His grip is firm as she recognizes him with a look of pure shock. Her bunny ears twitching in surprise, she demands to know what he's doing there. Ray remains perfectly calm, flipping the question back on her as he stares down the red-haired warrior. His gaze drifts to her ridiculous outfit, nodding the bunny suit and the tray of sweets, while the background fills with floating donuts that only highlight the absurdity of the situation. Ray bluntly asks if she's actually working as a server, causing Hyona to explode in a flustered panic. She desperately tries to hide her embarrassment, shouting that there's a perfectly good explanation for her attire. Quickly composing herself, she insists her presence here is a top-secret matter. Claiming she has private reasons for being in the casino, she begs Ray to keep his mouth shut. Internally, she is sweating. terrified that a newcomer like Ray will discover she's actually infiltrating the place to investigate the Alumni Association. Ray stares back with a look of cold indifference, simply acknowledging her secret with a quiet "I see." As he turns away, he reflects on the conversations he overheard earlier, knowing the truth is far more dangerous than she's letting on. Leaning forward, his voice low, he suggests they might be after the same thing. Hyona is caught off guard when Ray suddenly reaches out, placing a firm hand on her shoulder and bringing his face inches from hers as he corners her against the seat. He asks if her earlier invitation to join forces is still on the table. Hyona stares back, frozen by his sudden intensity as the offer hangs in the air. Cornering her in the dimly lit hallway, Ray brings up her previous offer. Hyona is shocked as Ray reveals he knows exactly why she's wearing that bunny suit. He sees through her disguise, knowing she's spying on the suspicious activity in the back. Ray drops a bombshell, revealing that Dunkel Slime from the Alumni Association is currently meeting with a mysterious contact. Leaning in with a cold proposal, he offers to share their secret plans in exchange for her cooperation. Hyona's eyes widen as she wonders how a newcomer could possibly know so much, but Ray brushes off her suspicion with cold indifference, leaving her to make a choice. Realizing this is her best chance to get dirt on Dunkel, Hyona decides to play along. Ray notices her resolve hardening and knows the deal is sealed. Turning to leave, Hyona makes it clear she doesn't trust him but is willing to gamble on his character, claiming she can tell he's not a bad guy just by looking at his face, unaware of the legendary power he truly hides. Smirking, she reminds Ray that she is the sub-leader of the Blaze Dragon clan. Ray closes his eyes, realizing her high rank will make his infiltration much smoother. Hyona immediately gets down to business, ordering Ray to create a massive scene in the casino hall. She needs a distraction loud enough to force Dunkel and his associate out of their private room. Glancing back with a mischievous grin, she claims she has the perfect tool for the job. Ray's eyes widen in surprise as he spots a familiar device in her hand, a high-tech communicator, ready to coordinate the chaos from the shadows. Ray watches her with a mix of curiosity and caution, wondering what other surprises she has in store. With the plan set, the duo prepares to strike. Heavy boots stomp through the casino as the royal army bursts in with overwhelming force. A commander points his finger, ordering everyone to freeze and put their hands where they can be seen. The gamblers are thrown into total panic, unable to believe the military has discovered their hidden den. One man stammers in shock, questioning how the royal army could possibly be here. The soldiers stand tall, identifying themselves as the Security Maintenance Unit and announcing a full-scale investigation into the illegal gambling ring. The commander delivers a chilling warning: anyone who moves will be punished on the spot. Watching the chaos from behind a door, Ray is stunned that Hyona actually dragged the military into this mess. Hyona looks back with a sly grin, admitting she's got more than a few useful connections. She warns Ray that the entire building is surrounded, leaving them with absolutely no way out, but Ray turns back with a chilling knowing expression, telling her not to be so sure. He knows that people like Dunkel Slime always have a back door prepared for emergencies. Deep in the sewers, Dunkel and his hooded associate make their desperate escape. The hooded man is shocked the army found them, blaming Dunkel's lack of oversight. Dunkel fumes with rage, unable to understand what went wrong after paying off the inspectors. To minimize the risk of capture, the hooded man suggests they split up immediately. Dunkel agrees and they prepare to regroup later. As the hooded man runs alone, he realizes the timing of the crackdown is far too perfect. Recalling a strange presence from earlier, he realizes they were being listened to the entire time. Ray's eyes widen in shock as a ball of fire suddenly erupts from the shadows. Channeling his mana, he braces himself against the sudden assault. A torch flares to life, revealing a hidden assailant who alerts the guards to his position. Before Ray can recover, a cold blade slices through the air in a lethal surprise attack. Ray strikes with explosive force, catching Tyrio completely off guard. A single brutal kick sends the vice captain hurtling backward like a ragdoll. Tyrio's face contorts in shock and pain as the sheer power of the blow rattles his entire frame. Skidding across the stone floor, he struggles to regain his footing amidst the dust. Ray emerges from the shadows, his expression ice cold as he closes in. Tyrio clutches his injured arm, realizing no ordinary soldier could possess such overwhelming strength. Gasping for air, he demands to know what an intruder could possibly want. Ray doesn't flinch, his gaze steady and lethal as he reveals his single objective. Staring him down, Ray demands the truth about Tyrio's secret meeting with Dunkel Slime. Tyrio realizes Ray was the one eavesdropping and his face twists with suspicion. Refusing to cooperate, he reaches for a hidden blade, declaring he has no obligation to answer any questions. Tyrio lunges forward in a feint, activating his shadow dive skill to sink into the dark floor, hopping to escape. Ray doesn't miss a beat, activating his own shadow skill to track his prey. Tyrio gasps in shock as Ray emerges from the Tyrio emerges from the darkness directly behind him, and before Ray can react, Ray delivers a devastating strike that sends him crashing back into reality. His opponent mocks him for using a rare assassination-type skill, but Ray isn't finished. Calling upon his signature magic tool creation, he summons the Scarlet Whip of Lament, a weapon whose length and strength fluctuate with his mana. Tyrio is genuinely impressed but raises the stakes, conjuring a swarm of dark, purple-glowing daggers that hover in the air. Ray stands calm in the center of the room as he's surrounded by a forest of lethal steel raining down from every angle. With a fluid motion, Ray unleashes his whip, creating a red blur of absolute defense. Tyrio watches in total shock as his barrage is deflected with effortless precision. He gasps in disbelief, realizing the rookie in front of him possesses power that defies logic. As Ray swings the glowing chain at blinding speeds, Tyrio realizes Ray is making a point, showing off that these low-level attacks aren't enough. Ray remains focused, his eyes glowing with a lethal red light. Tyrio breaks into a sinister smile, acknowledging that the time for games is over. He can't defeat Ray while hiding his true strength. A chilling laugh echoes through the chamber as Tyrio reveals he hasn't been forced to go all out since his legendary battle with him. Drawing a massive, glowing blue sword that radiates overwhelming pressure, Tyrio's noble facade is replaced by the aura of a true warrior. Ray's expression shifts to shock at the mention of a mysterious rival, realizing this is Tyrio's genuine fighting style. Gripping his blade, Tyrio drops a cold warning. Now that Ray has seen his true power, there's no turning back. Tyrio lunges, unleashing a devastating strike with his massive green energy blade, roaring that he won't let Ray leave alive. Ray remains perfectly calm, tracking the blinding beam of light. The sheer scale of Tyrio's attack range forces Ray on the defensive, making every move a life-or-death gamble. Tyrio doesn't let up, swinging his dual blades in a whirlwind of lethal energy. A manic grin spreads across Tyrio's face as he declares the real fun is just beginning. Ray analyzes Tyrio's incredible physical strength, noting the absurd power required to dual-wield such heavy greatswords. He wonders if his best bet is to drag the fight out, leaping into the air to avoid the massive arcs of energy. Deciding he's done playing around, Ray moves to end the fight instantly. Tyrio braces as Ray activates his magic tool creation skill. A web of lethal blue energy erupts across the field, manifesting the pruning iron stakes. Tyrio analyzes the threads forged from pure mana, trying to predict Ray's next move. But Ray vanishes into the darkness with his shadow veil, bypassing the traps and reappearing directly in front of a stunned Tyrio. Glowing blue threads tighten around Tyrio from all directions as he realizes Ray predicted his every move. Ray watches with a cold, superior gaze, mocking Tyrio for relying on predictable skills. Snarling in frustration, Tyrio refuses to accept defeat. Claiming Ray is celebrating too early, he pulls out a golden bell. Brandishing the artifact with a manic grin, he declares his intent to turn Ray into a mindless puppet. Ray's expression freezes, a shadow of dread washing over his face as the artifact seems to paralyze him. A traumatic memory flashes through Ray's mind, the moment his life was torn apart. The bell glows with a malevolent red light, the echo of memories pulsing with a terrifying aura and revealing a demonic face. The artifact rings out, threatening to consume Ray's soul. Trapped within the glowing web, Ray's reaction isn't what Tyrio expected. He breaks into a chilling laugh. Tyrio looks on in confusion, demanding to know what is so funny. A sinister smirk spreads across Ray's face as he realizes his long hunt for the client has finally reached its end. Reflecting on the trail of blood and stolen mythic items, his eyes burn with lethal intensity. Tyrio mocks Ray's confidence, warning him his arrogance will be his downfall as he rings the bell to rewrite Ray's mind. Chaotic, prismatic energy surges around Ray, but he remains perfectly still. With a mocking smile, Ray reveals with chilling calm that the mental attack has absolutely no effect on him. Tyrio's confidence shatters into pure panic disbelief. Standing amidst a surge of blue mana, Ray drops a bombshell. He is the original creator of the very tool being used against him. A flashback reveals Ray in a hidden laboratory before his infiltration. Rit hands him a collection of priceless components, urging him to make the most of them for the dangerous mission. Ray accepts with a grim nod, his mind calculating the construction of a new masterpiece to nullify external mana interference. Placing a glowing, multicolored gem into a specialized bowl, the artifact ignites with brilliant light, the perfect countermeasure against the echo of memories. Back in the present, Riot reveals his secret weapon, a wave cancellation magic tool attached to his ear that diffuses the mana wave. Tyrio is frozen in disbelief, unable to grasp that a mythic item failed so miserably. Riot takes a steady step forward, moving with ghostly fluidity as he blurs into the darkness. Tyrio watches in terror as Riot slips into the shadows. Looming in the misty gloom, Riot admits Tyrio has finally piqued his interest. Drawing the divine blade, mana crackles around the steel as Tyrio decides to get creative. A massive blast of blue energy rips through the building, shattering walls into dust. A woman cringes in fear as the structure collapses. Ray's heart sinks as he realizes an innocent civilian is caught in the crossfire. Tyrio smirks, channeling a sinister purple aura into the bell and declaring the start of a twisted puppet show. The civilian's eyes ignite with a malevolent red glow, and Tyrio commands his new soldiers to pin Ray down. Ray kicks off the ground, weaving through the crowd of puppets to deflect their strikes without causing harm. He glares at Tyrio, disgusted by his cowardly tactics. Tyrio mocks Ray's hesitation, lunging forward with lethal speed while Ray is distracted by the brainwashed civilians. Tyrio swings his massive blade down with crushing force. Realizing he can't evade without the strike plowing into the innocent people behind him, Ray braces himself and catches the full weight of Tyrio's heavy sword. Sparks fly as the weapons collide, cracking the ground beneath them. Ray struggles to hold his ground, driven by grim determination to protect those caught in the crossfire. With a sudden surge of mana, Ray unleashes a powerful shockwave to push Tyrio back. Ray is stunned when his sword strike seemingly passes through Tyrio without resistance. Tyrio emerges from the dust, mocking Ray's confusion and boasting about his incredibly sturdy physical form. Commanding the brainwashed civilians as human shields, Tyrio forces them to charge. Disgusted, Ray decides he is done letting the villain have his way. Activating his magic tool creation skill, he manifests the silent perfume in a surge of purple mana. The thick mist sweeps through the air, instantly putting the civilians into a deep slumber. Tyrio watches in shock as his little soldiers collapse harmlessly. Seizing the opening, Ray lunges with blinding speed, delivering a devastating, light-infused blow that catches Tyrio off guard. The impact sends a massive shockwave, and Tyrio grunts in agony as glowing wires pin him against a pillar. Ray pulls out the Echo of Memory's bell. Tyrio's eyes widen in sheer terror. Leaning in close, Ray demands the identity of the master pulling the strings. As a psychic backlash rips through Tyrio's mind, he glitches in agony and lets out a blood-curdling scream. The struggle leaves Tyrio broken and slumped against the wall. Ray stands over his fallen foe. Tyrio's voice is a hollow rasp as he confesses they seek to use the mythic items to plunge the continent back into absolute anarchy and ignite a massive war. Tyrio realizes the scale of the conspiracy is larger than just resurrecting Zaraixil. Dunkel uses the greedy members of the Blazing Dragon clan as a front, ensuring no trail leads back to the masterminds. Ray presses Tyrio about the theft from the royal army. Tyrio finally breaks, admitting the stolen demon calling gourd has already been moved to the heart of Zaraixil's seal. The small blue gourd glows with malevolent energy, signaling the countdown to absolute chaos. Ray pales, recalling the paired mythic items used to seal Zaraixil, the demon-calling gourd and the dry desert spring. Because they are a paired set, tampering with only one breaks the seal unevenly, causing the evil dragon to awaken in an incomplete, unstable state. Deprived of its senses, the creature will go on a mindless rampage. Enraged, Ray grabs Tyrio, cursing him for knowing the risks. The fanatic only laughs, claiming any sacrifice is worth it for his master. Panic sets in as Ray realizes the capital is in the dragon's path. Meanwhile, Dunkel catches his breath in the moonlit streets, thinking he's made a clean escape. His relief is short-lived as Hyona appears from the shadows, pointing her rapier and demanding his surrender. Dunkel mocks her, justifying his betrayal for the sake of his people. With a chilling grin, he warns her not to get in his way, a violent red aura erupting from his gauntlet. A violent explosion rips through the night, but Hyona stands her ground, realizing the magic signature is terrifyingly powerful. A massive, clawed foot slams into the earth. Dunkel mocks her, declaring the capital is about to become a sea of fire. Zaraixil emerges from the inferno, its skeletal frame wreathed in unholy flames. The Calamity-class beast lets out a bone-chilling roar, preparing to incinerate everything. Hyona stares in horror while Dunkel watches with a twisted sense of victory. A blinding pillar of light tears through the sky as the dragon's mana overflows. Ray remains unfazed, activating his magic tool creation to manifest the Meteor Buster, a massive cannon capable of firing concentrated mana shells. Acknowledging the interrogation can wait, Ray declares it's time to slay a dragon. The ancient beast looms over the burning city. Ray observes that the dragon is barely holding its physical form together, its magical energy dangerously unstable. Hyona rushes toward him in a panic. Ray asks for an update on Dunkel. Hyona confirms she beat him to pulp and tied him up. Looking at the blast site, she realizes the incredible power came from Ray. Ray analyzes his shot, noting it failed to decapitate the beast because of the unstable energy barrier shielding its head. Zaraixil gathers terrifying energy, unleashing a colossal beam of red destruction that vaporizes everything in its path. A massive explosion rocks the capital. Ray and Hyona are nearly swept away by the shockwave. As the earth shatters, Ray grabs Hyona and hauls her back, warning her to stay sharp. Panic erupts in the streets. Zaraxil looms, its chest glowing with concentrated mana. Ray watches from the rooftops, his eyes cold and ready. He explains to a shocked Hyona that military organizations are too slow, they are the only ones left to stop the destruction. With traitors potentially everywhere, Ray tells Hyona she is the only person he can truly trust. Chaos erupts as Zaraxil prepares to incinerate a mother and child. Ray lunges into the inferno with blinding speed, drawing his blade. He calls upon the legendary blade, Levitane, swinging with a force that cleaves through the darkness. A massive explosion of light and heat pushes back the calamity. Ray urges the survivors to flee, standing alone amidst the smoldering ruins. Ray and Hyona prepare for the impossible task. Hyona questions if their plan will work, but Ray assures her every monster has a weakness. Hyona explains the standard strategy of crippling a dragon's wings and throat, but realizes those tactics are useless against Zaraxil's impenetrable magic barrier. Ray decides to turn the enemy's defense into their advantage. Activating magic tool creation, he forges the circle of revolving lanterns, a high-level doping item that draws out a user's magic power to its absolute maximum limit. Placing the glowing ring on Hyona's finger, he tells her to act as a decoy. Hyona plunges into the inferno, unleashing her sword skill, Flame Dance. A massive explosion of fire rocks the city as her blade connects. Stunned by the overwhelming power, she realizes the boost is only temporary. Zaraxil opens its massive jaws, charging a lethal breath attack. Ray holds his ground, channeling mana into a glowing blue shield to absorb the impact. Ray focuses on the beast, stating his goal is to push it out of the urban area by blasting the dragon and its barrier away in one shot. He notes that while the shield is indestructible, it still transfers physical force. Ray manifests a massive mechanical construct, a colossal, glowing cage, pinning the dragon's head to the ground and containing the calamity. Realizing he must move the entire cage by force, Ray lunges with a fierce battle cry, channeling every ounce of his mana into a single, devastating strike. A colossal explosion of blue energy slams into the monster, launching the dragon's prison high into the atmosphere. Standing atop his mechanical construct, Ray activates magic tool creation. High above the world, a massive floating citadel manifests. Zaraxil lies defeated in a pool of glowing energy. Riot stands tall in his magic doll body, a vessel containing 10 times the magic power of his prime. He activates the circle of revolving lanterns to amplify his mana and deliver the blow, but the impact fractures his artificial skin. Riot realizes even his masterpiece struggles to contain the sheer pressure. A colossal pillar of light erupts in the distance. Hyona stares in awe, rushing to Riot and horrified to see his arm blackened and blistered. Riot dismisses the injury, asking Hyona to follow him for what comes next. Gazing at the floating fortress, they face Zaraxil. A violent eruption of flames signals the beast's arrival. Ray lunges, his blade crackling with mana. Zaraxil retaliates with devastating fireballs. The duo leaps through the smoke. Ray remains unnervingly calm, dissecting the creature's anatomy and pointing out the massive magic barrier. He explains that the barrier thins significantly whenever the dragon prepares a breath attack. Ray prepares a specialized magic tool to pinpoint the opening, telling Hyona she holds the key to victory. Her true power is too destructive for the city. He reveals the circle of revolving lanterns will unlock her full potential. Hyona's magic sword pulses with crimson light as she demands Ray's true identity, but he brushes it off. Ray signals the final battle. Zaraxil unleashes a devastating blast of fire. Ray maneuvers through the chaos, acting as a decoy. Hyona sprints through the spray, activating her fire leg skill to launch energy strikes. The dragon counters with Hainan Flam. A heavy blow slams into Zaraxil's head. Ray activates magic tool creation, manifesting a dark, geometric artifact to use as a detection wave. Remembering the feeling of entrusting his life to comrades, Ray focuses his resolve. Zaraxil unleashes a torrent of fire. A mysterious black cube floats above as Ray analyzes the dragon's power, finding its fatal flaw. He unleashes precise energy beams that pierce the unstable barrier. Spotting the critical opening, Hyona's blade ignites into a roaring inferno. She unleashes the flame sword Levitane, driving the strike home. Engulfed in flames, she screams the name of her ultimate sword skill, Flame Bird. A colossal beam of fire descends, crushing Zaraxil under a blinding white light. Exhausted but triumphant, Hyona watches the smoke clear. Suddenly, a blinding beam of energy erupts from the sky. Zaraxil lets out a pained roar, battered but still standing. Ray appears behind Hyona, confirming her efforts shattered the barrier. Activating his legendary magic tool creation, a colossal pillar of divine light descends as he summons the holy sword Excalibur. Ray stands tall beside Hyona, declaring that with the barrier gone, it's finally his turn to end this nightmare. Riot Berger unleashes a massive surge of mana, bringing his legendary magic tool creation to life. In an instant, the divine sword Excalibur emerges, radiating overwhelming power. But the Calamity-class dragon refuses to back down, charging a devastating fire breath. Unfazed by the monstrous pressure, Riot and Hyona brace themselves for the battle ahead. Even after taking heavy damage, the ancient dragon Zarixil unleashes an earth-shaking breath attack. Hyona freezes as the dragon's glowing throat burns like a furnace ready to explode. But Ray stays perfectly calm, preparing a cheat code defense against the incoming blast. The dragon finally fires, releasing a colossal beam that erases everything in its path. Without a trace of fear, Ray steps forward and pours his mana into a perfect counter. One blinding blue slash cuts through the dragon's flames, stopping the attack dead. Ray pushes his magic even further, summoning the legendary holy sword Excalibur once more. With a fearless smirk, he taunts the dragon for facing a blade beyond imagination. Ray coldly declares that neither its scales nor its wings can protect it now. With its barrier shattered, Ray calls the legendary dragon nothing more than a giant lizard. Then, with one decisive swing, he unleashes Excalibur's true power and cleaves the beast apart. The strike erupts into a blinding explosion, swallowing the ancient dragon in pure destruction. Zarixil's body collapses, melting into a violent mess of energy, blood, and molten remains. At last, with Zarixil defeated, Ray and Hyona stand victorious beneath the moonlit sky. The nightmare finally ends, and the floating citadel falls silent after the decisive battle. Yet below them the capital still burns, its streets drowning in flames and chaos. The military leaders are stunned, unable to believe the legendary dragon was truly subjugated. While panic spreads around them, Ray sighs as Hyona tries to keep her composure. But Ray already has proof ready, prepared to silence every doubt in the room. The guards watch helplessly as shockwaves from the battle continue shaking the entire capital. Before anyone can react, Ray opens his spacetime repository and seals away the dragon's head. The impossible artifact leaves every witness frozen, unable to process what they just saw. But peace barely lasts before sharp footsteps announce the arrival of the public order unit. A cold-eyed commander steps forward and orders every traitor arrested on the spot. With their crimes exposed, the powerful Alumni Association begins collapsing from the inside. Dunkel Slime trembles as his grand plan for global chaos crumbles before his eyes. The guards drag him away, ignoring his desperate resistance and pathetic screams. He shouts his noble name, but to them, he is nothing more than a criminal. Watching it all, Ray calmly says villains always justify themselves while ignoring the damage they cause. With the crisis over, Hyona turns to Ray and sincerely thanks him for saving her clan. Ray stays humble, reminding her that her overwhelming firepower shattered the dragon's barrier. Hyona proudly grins, showing off the powerful magic ring Ray had given her. Ray studies his hand and quietly admits that magic tools truly are cheat codes. But his expression darkens, knowing even the strongest tools depend entirely on their user. In the wrong hands, those legendary artifacts become weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Together, Ray and Hyona stare across the burning capital, shaken by the devastation below. Seeing the damage, Ray realizes he must reclaim every stolen mythic artifact before more lives are lost. Then Hyona suddenly asks about the mysterious target Ray had been chasing all along. Ray hesitates, remembering the chaos of battle and the secrets still buried in the shadows. Hyona panics when she learns the target escaped, but Ray tells her to calm down. Ray explains he captured the man, only for him to vanish before he could react. Hyona blames the dragon battle, but Ray knows someone must have helped him escape. After all, with his abilities sealed by the echoes of memory, escape should have been impossible. Even the pruning iron stakes magic threads were far too strong for any ordinary enemy. Ray inspects the severed threads closely, his eyes narrowing at the precision of the cut. A cut that clean could only belong to a swordsman of legendary skill. Hyona suggests reporting the dragon incident to the royal army, but Ray immediately refuses. His eyes turn sharp as he vows to hunt the escapee and expose the mastermind. Hyona realizes anyone controlling the Alumni Association from the shadows must be a terrifying enemy. Still, she asks Ray to handle the official report and promises him her full support. With a bright smile, Hyona reminds him that they are already official party members. For once, Ray is caught completely off guard by her genuine warmth. Looking back, he realizes her presence gave him strength even in the darkest moment. And for the first time, Ray gives Hyona a sincere and heartfelt thank you. Hyona catches him smiling and demands an answer, but Ray quickly plays it cool. Meanwhile, deep underground, a hidden workshop reveals the legendary craftsman's next move. Leto calmly serves tea, while warning Riot that he should have stayed hidden. Riot insists he saved the capital, but Leto says summoning a floating fortress was too reckless. Leto warns that if the world learns Riot is alive, chaos will spread fast. When asked about the mysterious client, Riot confirms they knew him from his active duty days. With the enemy finally making a move, Riot decides it is time to strike back. If they discover he is alive, Riot sees it as the perfect bait. A cold smirk forms on his face as he prepares to lure them into a trap. Leto remains doubtful, reminding Riot that this enemy already destroyed his previous body. Pointing to Riot's damaged artificial arm, Leto questions how he can possibly fight. But Riot only grins, revealing he will not repair the arm, he will upgrade it. Leto is stunned, knowing Riot's body was already built from the rarest materials on Earth. Riot simply smiles wider, revealing he has already secured the perfect materials. His next upgrade will be forged from the remains of a legendary Calamity-class dragon. Treating the dragon like nothing more than scrap, Riot begins rebuilding his arm into something far stronger. A mysterious letter sealed with blood-red wax marks the beginning of a dangerous alliance. With his preparations complete, Riot coordinates with his old ally Lit Brown to secure the next crucial step. Stepping through the threshold of secrets, Riot prepares to face the dark storm ahead. A final warning echoes in the silence as the legendary craftsman steps into the shadows. With a cold smirk, Riot embraces the dangerous path of vengeance, ready for whatever lies ahead. With chaos ahead, Riot sets out to claim Zarxel's remains and restore his body. But to unlock the dragon's true power, he must first locate a highly compatible magic stone. Riot Berger seeks a legendary magic stone merchant, stepping into the shadows of a mysterious shop to find the missing piece. A sudden, violent outburst shatters the quiet of the shop, revealing a desperate struggle already underway. A young intruder pleads desperately for a legendary artifact, but the stubborn merchant refuses to yield. Riot Berger intervenes with cold precision, his silent presence instantly shifting the balance of power in the room. Presenting his credentials from the powerful Brown Trading Company, Riot Berger demands the merchant's undivided attention. Recognizing the legendary influence behind his guest, the merchant's hostility dissolves into quiet compliance. Revealed within the cage is a legendary beast of myth, possessing a power that defies all comprehension. The merchant explains the creature's extraordinary ability, holding the key to Riot Berger's ultimate upgrade. Riot Berger secures the mysterious beast, unaware of the sudden storm brewing just outside the merchant's door. A violent intrusion shatters the peace as a desperate challenger lunges forward to claim the prize. Riot Berger turns a cold gaze toward the newcomer, utterly unfazed by the sudden display of hostility. The frantic young warrior screams in rage, declaring his absolute right to the legendary creature. Silence falls as Riot Berger coldly rejects the intruder's desperate pleas. Driven by obsession, the young challenger reaches out in a final, desperate bid to touch the beast. Riot Berger's patience finally wears thin as he prepares to silence the relentless intruder once and for all. Riot Berger prepares to secure his prize, but a sudden presence disrupts the quiet room. A hyperactive intruder snatches the rare beast, completely oblivious to the danger of touching a wild creature. Riot Berger observes the stranger's impossible speed, realizing this eccentric newcomer is far from ordinary. The captured beast growls in silent fury, its patience wearing thin under the intruder's suffocating affection. A violent surge of lightning erupts as the creature unleashes its wrath upon its overly affectionate captor. Seizing the chaotic distraction, the wild beast escapes into the shadows of the shop. Riot Berger watches the fallen intruder in disbelief, stunned by the sheer absurdity of the unfolding chaos. But the comedy instantly vanishes as a chilling, familiar malice creeps up from the darkness behind them. A furious demand echoes through the room, threatening a crushing debt if the elusive target escapes. The bustling streets of the capital remain peaceful, completely unaware of the chaos unfolding in the shadows. With blinding speed, the hunter dashes through the alleyways, pursuing the fleeing creature before it vanishes. The elusive beast leaps across the rooftops, desperately trying to shake off its relentless pursuers. A reckless ally lunges forward with open arms, determined to capture the wild beast at any cost. But the wild creature strikes back with unexpected force, delivering a brutal blow to the face. A massive impact shakes the street, leaving a trail of destruction in the creature's wake. Standing amidst the dust, the hunter checks on his fallen companion, who barely survives the chaotic encounter. The elusive beast escapes with a mocking cry, leaving its pursuers scrambling in the shadows. Experienced hunters analyze the beast's unnatural agility, realizing this is no ordinary creature. With a sudden burst of speed, the pursuit intensifies across the rugged terrain. A desperate leap brings the hunter face to face with his elusive prey. Even the most seasoned warriors are left stunned by the creature's impossible swiftness. A sudden surge of raw electricity erupts, striking the unwary hunter with paralyzing force. The truth behind the beast's defense unveils a new strategy. They devise a plan to exploit the beast's magical weakness. Riot activates his wave cancellation magic tool, a perfect counter to neutralize the external mana interference. The legendary craftsman reveals his specialized tool, designed to neutralize the waves of magic power. By narrowing the area of effect and inverting its function, the tool's true potential is unleashed. A powerful wave of inverted energy washes over the target, catching the elusive creature completely off guard. The overwhelming wave paralyzes the beast, leaving it completely dazed and unable to escape. The invention immobilizes the beast, and the hunter secures the target. The elusive target is successfully secured, marking another perfect execution of Riot's genius. Riot watches with a quiet satisfaction, his legendary skills once again proving absolute. A shadow of regret lingers as the elusive prey slips through their fingers, leaving the hunters to face the consequences of their failure. Reassurance comes from a trusted ally, reminding him that the true objective was secured despite the chaotic escape. Curiosity ignites as the young warrior marvels at the legendary craftsman's work, desperate to uncover the origin of such power. A quiet deflection guards the dangerous truth, keeping the secrets of the legendary craftsman hidden from prying eyes. Understanding dawns as they realize some secrets are far too dangerous to be shared with the world. A new bond is forged in the quiet aftermath, as the energetic warrior offers his name to the mysterious stranger. Under a false name, the legendary craftsman steps into his new life, his true identity buried deep within the shadows. A promise of a future meeting seals their brief alliance, as they part ways under the watchful eyes of the city. Reborn into a youthful vessel, the legendary craftsman wanders the bustling streets, observing a world that has moved on without him. Separated from the common world for decades, Riot Berger reflects on the passage of time and the changing era. He recognizes the brilliant potential of the new generation, noting the exceptional talents of warriors like Huna and Dan. A painful memory resurfaces, carrying the weight of a tragic question that can never be answered. The memory of his beloved grandson, Ray, shines brightly, a painful reminder of the life that was cruelly stolen away. Grief instantly hardens into a cold, lethal focus as his gaze narrows with absolute hatred. Consumed by vengeance, he is caught off guard by a mysterious sound from his luggage. With a soul consumed by wrath, Riot Berger vows to hunt down his enemy and exact absolute, bloody revenge. A grim report echoes through the silent chamber, laying bare the catastrophic failure of a rogue mission. The master absorbs the dark truth, his icy silence heavier than any spoken threat. Terror strikes the heart of the incompetent subordinate as the weight of his failure settles in. A suffocating, murderous aura erupts, demanding to know if the failed pawn truly values his pathetic life. Desperate pleas and trembling denials fall on deaf ears as death looms closer than ever. Suddenly, a loud, cheerful voice shatters the deadly tension, bursting into the room with absolute confidence. The terrified accomplice can only gape in shock as the legendary champion arrives at the worst possible moment. Oblivious to the dark malice in the room, the legendary sword star casually teases his grim companion. A chilling grin masks a lethal intent as the first seat of the Sval's Knight Order, Dan Kraft, makes his grand entrance. Under a full moon, a grand fortress stands isolated on the dark waters, hosting a gathering of the elite. Forced to wear a ridiculous mask, Riot Berger conceals his legendary identity in the dark. In elegant formal attire, the legendary craftsman blends into the high society crowd. Though he despises the foolish disguise, he must play along to infiltrate the secret event. Every guest wears a mask, hiding their true intentions behind a facade of luxury. On this secluded island, a forbidden gathering of high-ranking officials begins. An underground auction unveils priceless relics before the wealthy elite. His target is the legendary demon-calling gourd and the mastermind behind its theft. Under the cold moonlight, Riot Berger stares at the grand estate, his sights locked onto his next target. A few days earlier, Noise Hameln marvels at Riot's miraculous recovery, his artificial body defying the laws of nature. With quiet confidence, Riot prepares to reveal the terrifying upgrade he has forged in secret. Fusing the dragon's remains with a dark lightning stone, a new weapon of absolute destruction is born. A single test unleashes a devastating force, leaving a colossal crater of pure ruin in its wake. This new power will serve as the ultimate trump card against the monsters lurking in the shadows. The exposure of the Alumni Association sets the stage for a much larger, deadlier hunt. A dangerous shadow slips through the net as the fugitive Merzen Hilt escapes, carrying secrets that could shatter the peace. Whispers of the forbidden demon-calling gourd emerge, a legendary relic destined to be sold in the dark. Behind closed doors, the truth of an illegal underground auction is laid bare, where forbidden treasures change hands. They race to reclaim the stolen artifact before a sinister secret unfolds. A secret attendee list is revealed, harboring a name that sends a shiver of dread through the room. The ghost of Riot Berger's past stands before him once again. Rage replaces every trace of shock. Deep within the classified archives, the true identity of the monster is finally brought to light. Tyrio Diu, the vice-commander of the Cerberus Knights, stands as a pillar of authority. A terrifying conspiracy unfolds, threatening to plunge the continent into the flames of war once more. With the truth shrouded in mystery, the burden of uncovering the plot falls solely on his shoulders. If profit is not their motive, a far darker purpose must drive the knights toward conflict. Backed by the church, their wealth is secure, leaving no logical reason to invite ruin. Only one dark truth remains: they are acting under the direct orders of the client. A sudden presence shatters the silence, warning him of an approaching danger. Noise Hameln refuses to let Ray leave, her chilling authority demanding his absolute attention as the tension between them thickens. Ray recalls the path laid before him, a trial designed to propel him into the prestigious S-rank of the guild. Noise Hameln delivers a sudden decree, commanding Ray to form an alliance with an unpredictable ally. A sudden realization strikes Ray as he recognizes the formidable figure standing before him. The young prodigy Gaia steps forward, flashing a cocky grin as he greets his former rival. Gaia proudly boasts of his rapid ascension, revealing his new status as a legendary S-rank holder. Ray analyzes the beastman's growth, noting how the once-inexperienced rookie has transformed into a seasoned killer. A monstrous presence looms in the shadows, forged through endless bloodbaths and unimaginable carnage. To reach the coveted S rank, Riot must fulfill two absolute conditions dictated by the highest powers of the guild. Every step forward demands a dangerous alliance, sealed by the recommendation of an elite companion. Gaia sneers with predatory malice, reminding Riot that his path to promotion lies entirely in his hands. Trying to bypass the ranks to reach his ultimate target, Riot faces the cold skepticism of his new partner. A chilling threat hangs in the air as Gaia vows to eliminate anyone who dares to drag him down. With a twisted grin, the young prodigy mocks his elder, completely unaware of the legendary power he challenges. Though forced to play the babysitter, Riot's focus remains absolute as he plots his next move. Viewing the arrogant beastman as a mere tool, the legendary craftsman prepares to exploit this alliance to find his true prey. Within the grand, gold-trimmed halls of the elite theater, a quiet tension settles over the unsuspecting crowd. High above the spectators, cloaked figures watch from the shadows, guarding secrets of absolute power. Disguised beneath a silver mask, Riot locks his gaze onto the VIP balcony, calculating his next move. With the royal family present, the security is impenetrable, turning any direct infiltration into a suicide mission. His hot-headed companion suggests a brutal slaughter, but Riot knows that raw violence will only ruin their plans. Trapped on an isolated island, any loud disturbance would seal their escape routes and end the hunt prematurely. The sprawling, high-security fortress looms in the dark, surrounded by the cold, unforgiving sea. A sinister smile plays on Riot's lips as he focuses on his true objective, the legendary demon-calling gourd. The grand auction begins as the spotlight illuminates the stage, drawing the greedy eyes of the wealthy elite. The charismatic host boasts of rare treasures gathered from every corner of the vast continent. With a dramatic gesture, the auctioneer prepares to unveil the first highly anticipated prize of the night. A captive elven girl is paraded before the crowd, her spirit broken as she stands on the stage. From the shadows of the audience, a masked spectator watches the grim spectacle with cold, calculating eyes. The bidding war erupts as wealthy elites fight over the rare captive. Amid the soaring prices, the mysterious warrior makes his move. Disgusted by the corruption surrounding them, the masked companions watch the auction with pure contempt. A quiet agreement passes between them as they prepare to witness the main event of the night. The charismatic host commands the stage, announcing a legendary treasure crafted by the master himself. Before the greedy crowd, the legendary demon-calling gourd is unveiled, radiating an ancient and terrifying power. Whispers of the artifact's world-ending capabilities echo as the spectators realize the true danger of the item. The grand stage is set as the host ignites the crowd, launching the bidding for the legendary artifact at 50 million. As the greedy voices of the elite clash in a frenzy, Ray watches the spectacle with absolute boredom. Underneath his mask, a dangerous smirk forms as he prepares to make his move. With a single, staggering declaration, Ray shatters the auction's momentum by bidding 100 million. The crowd gasps in disbelief as the host marvels at the unprecedented leap in value. Silence falls over the grand hall as Ray confidently awaits his uncontested victory. But the silence is shattered as a rival bidder emerges, raising the stakes to an astronomical 150 million. The trap is sprung. From high above, the silent observer watches his target take the bait with absolute satisfaction. With a sinister grin, the legendary craftsman celebrates his victory. The foolish target has walked directly into his carefully prepared trap. The auction hall erupts in absolute chaos as the crowd marvels at the historic astronomical bid echoing through the grand chamber. Shrouded in shadows, Ray watches the unfolding madness, his cold eyes fixed on his ultimate target. The desperate host challenges the crowd, screaming for any soul brave enough to surpass the staggering sum. Stunned silence grips the wealthy elite, their confidence shattered by the sheer gravity of the unimaginable bid. The final gavel begins its descent, ready to seal the fate of the legendary treasure once and for all. Before the hammer can fall, a thunderous voice shatters the silence, doubling the bid to a staggering 300 million. With a cold, decisive gesture, the true mastermind steps into the light, ready to claim his prize. The auction hall erupts as a staggering bid of 300 million shatters the silence, shocking the wealthy elite. With a chilling smile, the masked bidder challenges the crowd to gamble their very destinies on this ultimate game.